Profila. This is the ZEKE token sale breakfast launch party. We're just going to chat a little bit while Michiel joins us this morning. But the ZEKE token sale is live, and we're already tracking fairly nicely. So thank you to the first 5 participants who have already believed in our project. So first, I just want to ask Luke, what happened with the Super Bowl? Was it a kick out or was it amazing?
Okay. Well, you asked questions. I did wake up at 5:30 so I could watch it as live. And pretty early, it seemed that the Chiefs' offensive line was not up to the job. And if Mahomes isn't protected, it's tough. And but the Chiefs actually stopped the Eagles' running back, who had been incredible the last 10 weeks. They held him, I think, to only 53 yards, which I think if you would have told somebody after the game they held this guy to 53 yards, you'd assume the Chiefs would have won. But no, it felt a dead game. I heard the halftime show was not very good, and no one could understand the lyrics. Yeah.
I'm glad somebody else won. The Chiefs have had a good run. They've won 4, haven't they? Or 3 or 4?
Mahomes have won 3 in the last 3 of the last 5.
Yeah. And Chiefs, how many times? They're quite regular Super Bowl winners?
No, until Mahomes they'd won 1 very early, like Super Bowl 2, I think or Super Bowl 3 they won, something like that.
And horrible question.
The downside is, win or lose, Philadelphia probably is burning right now. Because they like to burn cars and things.
Guys, so I was going to ask I didn't actually even know where the Chiefs were, or the Eagles. Sorry, so
Philadelphia. No, the game was in New Orleans. Which does a good job of hosting these sort of things. It's a big game kind of city, but kind of an anticlimactic after a really fun season.
Oh well, for those who are let down.
My understanding is they booed Taylor Swift when they put her on the video monitor. The crowd booed her, and they cheered Trump. So
there's some sentiment around the world at the moment.
That's where we are. So, and I'm very, very glad that I had many opportunities here to go and watch live, either at the Mall of Switzerland, at the theater, the casino hosted an event. And I think if it would have been like 4 o'clock in the morning in a blowout, I would have hated myself. It would have screwed up my sleep all week. So I'm very happy that I got a good night's sleep. Just woke up early. And now I'm ready to go. And now it's ZEKE week. Which, by the way, have we used the expression ZEKE week?
No, that's a good
everywhere
one.
Yesterday, and all my
haven't
articles.
yet.
Yeah, so that's a lost. Now we're using it. ZEKE week.
ZEKE week.
Fenugreek ZEKE.
Okay, so no matter what you think about the Super Bowl, it's ZEKE week, and
Mozambique ZEKE.
We're happy that everybody is here, and
as for you, Mitchell.
We've got our first 5 awesome investors who have jumped on, and for those who are joining, we're going to be here for a while, so hang around with us, and we're just going to give everybody a bit of background on Profila. We'll talk through the tokenomics of ZEKE, why it is an amazing investment, our tokenomics, how we aim to bring huge transaction volumes to Cardano from the advertising industry, and also show you around the platform, and just quite a few interesting things lined up for this morning. And we're also, just for everyone's awareness, got a long space, X space on this evening, which will be the evening kickoff party. And we'll go through the exchanges that we're listed on and show you exactly where to go to make sure that you're a part of something great. We've been working on Profila for 7 years, and we finally believe that we've got something meaningful and worthwhile to kick off to the world. So we're super excited for ZEKE week. Let me just see. We're trying to get Michiel on board. There he is. Okay. There he is. Michiel. Okay, Michiel's got a little bit of connection issues today, but we'll see if we can make it. Yes, we can hear you. You good? You still can't hear us properly. An option for you, Michiel, because you're live on stream, is to see if your 5G works better, yeah? Okay, Mitchell, will you just message him? Because I don't think he's with us. If he goes on his 5G, and then he should be able to do it. Okay. Just a note, you are on live with us, and we've already got quite a few people on board. So welcome to the breakfast. I hope you got a cup of coffee It's going to be a good ride this morning. And we've just been talking about the Super Bowl. For an Eagles fan, well done. And Luke will give his commentary throughout the day on the status of NFL, because it seemed to be not such a good show this year for the Super Bowl. Who played at halftime?
It was Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
I didn't watch it. I skipped through it.
Yeah. It's becoming less
great,
of a
actually.
big thing. Yeah. Was it good?
It was really good. And I personally liked the lyrics that most people don't understand. But it's very political, so that's probably why people are saying they didn't understand it.
Okay.
No, I don't mind him. I mean, when you have iconic ones like when Prince, people will put clips. Yeah, it's a lot to live up to. And actually, I can give you a tidbit. Kendrick Lamar received $0 for the performance. They never get paid, and some artists actually spend their own money for the production bills, because again, you have 150 million, probably half the country's watching. Obviously hundreds of millions of people abroad. The NFL can go to anybody and say, "Hey, here's your exposure."
Yeah,
we're not going to pay you anything. So I think that's always an interesting dynamic of where value resides and who pays who. Kind of like with Profila, where brands subscribe to you and pay you for your data, because you're the customer and your data is valuable. So when I started that story, I did not think I was going to relate it to Profila, but I decided to try it.
We've already been speaking about NFL on Profila, and it's going to happen. Every team in the future will be on here, but we'll save the product plugging for later. Now we're just warming up for a long 3-hour session with our community and explain everything ZEKE, and go through what the tokenomics are, where you can invest, how you can support this team. We have been building the future of human agency and privacy and value on the internet. Mitchell, you're awake yet, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was up until 2 or 3, I think. Also, he's the team night owl.
I'd say it's between Mikhail or me for that, but he's just a machine. So
I think he's actually, his Red Bull runs through his veins, nothing else.
Yeah, we do have like a few questions in the chat for you.
Oh wow, they've popped up already. That's amazing.
Gosh.
LFG, thanks, Faith. Lovely. And how can we become subscriber and gain something, and how can we use our tokens? Have luck, by the way. Thank you, Kuni. You'll be able to subscribe to the app today and sign up to it. There is quite a few links, which we'll publish now and show you all the links on Medium, which will give you detailed instructions of how to go to the app, how to sign up as a user, then how to navigate through the platform. And then there's 2 or 3 challenges, which will take you 1 or 2 days for you to actually be able to earn your ZEKE. In the platform, you go to take 3 actions. It's signing up, you get ZEKE. Then you look at a brand moment and you accept what we call a data subscription. All this will be explained to you in the platform. And then you see another ad, which is another brand moment, which will give you instructions on how to complete a survey and how to vote for brands. Those 3 actions will earn you ZEKE through the week. ZEKE through the week. There we go. It's going to be the theme, Luke? And next question is one of the first 5. I know, Kuni, thank you very much. And we've been tracking that, and we really appreciate your belief in the project. A lot of people...
Let me say a big picture thing, Sean, in terms of how can you use the tokens. ZEKE is the circulatory system of the Profila platform. It is the coin of the realm. There's already earn and burn scenarios now, obviously many more to come. And every time we think of a feature, some sort of feature or some sort of superpower we want to give more people, we're always thinking, how will ZEKE flow through this, whether you're earning it or burning it. So, you're going to want to be engaged in the platform and earning, because there's going to be a lot of reasons to burn the tokens to get things for you for value. So it's completely central to our mindset. And that's why we're so happy with both using blockchain, using crypto, and using Cardano, because it provides us mechanism for these sort of things. So.
Love that, dude. Thank you. And Kuni, do we have a surprise for the first 5 participants? Potentially, we'll wait for Michiel to join back because he's the master of the token. And yeah, I think Mitchell, that's a good idea. Let's for each milestone we can see. I don't know how we're going to track each individual though. But
yeah, I mean, actually, we do have.
We got the wallet addresses which we could track. Yeah,
we do have some NFTs to give away, courtesy of Feeder Finance.
Yes.
I haven't announced that yet. It's will be going out, so I guess we can give them out during the stream. Actually,
give Kuni's. There he goes. Really, somebody wants to join the team.
Yes,
Kuni, send us your details, and we'll definitely chat. So, thank you for your support, and thanks for the ambition to join us. And then, hello, Faith from X. So there's a burning
superpower,
happy superpower.
You know, I may need to find a reason to name a feature Squeak, because that's pretty cool.
I think that's going to be a thing in the future, is ZEKE Week. Right? Now that the token is launched, I think going forward, 1 week a month is always going to be ZEKE Week. Okay,
and it's better than Shark Week because it rhymes. Everything that rhymes is better.
And there's Squeak. We were on Squeak's space not too long ago. So welcome, Squeak. We want superpower. You bring the superpower. ZEKE brings the power. So that's pretty cool. Still hook us up a Squeak for any of Mika legal advice. Michiel will jump on the call later, and we're happy to do that. Luckily for us, just on that, Michiel being an IP and data protection lawyer in Belgium 3 years ago when we actually drafted our white paper, he knew about Mika pre-launch and everything. So we made our documentation compliant from day one. So we got a lot of learnings to share there. Absolutely. And then here's one too from Faith. I love it.
Okay, no, let's keep it clean for the kids.
Yes, that was just fire. Okay, Michiel's back. Let's get him on. Hey, Michiel, we got you this time, I hope.
Can you hear me now?
Morning. Okay, we got a chat stream coming already, and we can hear you, but you're still a little bit slow and frozen, but we'll have to deal with it somehow. Maybe you're gonna have to find a cafe that's got better internet. But let's carry on. I think thanks for everybody for joining us this morning. We're gonna be here for several hours, so please feel free to pop in and out. And first of all, we're going to talk about ZEKE and the tokenomics and where you can actually find information about how to invest, where to invest, and so on. So I think, Mitchell, I'll put you on the spot, or I can do it from here. Let me get the mail that was sent out to our community, and I'll just share all of the links for people to go to today. And we can actually post them on our social media after this, Mitchell. Will be cool. So let me get the information out. Okay. Cool. I'm just going to share. So for everybody that's watching now, we're going to go through just the high-level details of how to invest and where to invest today in the ZEKE token. And if you've got any questions, please pop them up in the chat and we'll be happy to answer. I'm looking to the right all the time to my second monitor, so I'm not being uncool.
Can I interject for 1 second before we start?
Yes, please.
Okay, this morning I've created a new user. I wanted to test out the ZEKE Week 10% bonus stuff, and everything's working perfectly. I've already completed 3 of the steps, and the other one comes tomorrow, one day after you start.
Fantastic. Oh, we can do that again live just now, so we have to repeat that process. ZEKE Week 1.
Oh.
But we can run through it all again.
I'm glad that I would not have want to do that live
if it didn't work, but we know it works now, so that's cool. Yeah. And then speak again. Yeah, definitely fall back on this. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, let me just share some information here. Okay. Let's do, so we got the team. Here we go. Okay, so this is a newsletter that was sent out to our existing community. I think Mitchell's posting a lot of this details onto X. X at Profila Privacy is the best place to find us in the next days to understand what you can do. So we've officially launched already on 2 exchanges on MintSwap DEX. That's for the Cardano community. We'll know that very well, where you can anonymously invest ADA. So if you go to the MintSwap site, which is MintSwap Launch Bowl, then you'll be able to find us. Let's see if it opens up, and I'll bring through on here. Okay. We'll look. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that overlay. I need to present the screen,
no.
actually. Yeah. Okay, let me just present the screen instead of a window. Here we go. Entire screen to there. Okay, that's better. So if you go to this address, there is another older one, so be careful. There's one that I saw, mintswap.net, which might be a hack site or a fake site or an old one, but it doesn't work. So it's mintswap.org, Launch Bowl, and there should be some live projects here. My page seems to be challenge refreshing. Does yours have a problem with refreshing at the moment, Mitchell?
Yep, I'm going to message them right now.
Yeah, okay, I think they got some... Okay, live launch, no launch available. It's all loading. Okay, but this is where you'll find us. We've already got people investing and the ball's rolling. So come to this site, connect your wallet, and then you'll be able to attach yourself to a live project. Okay, so you need to just check what's going on with the site, and Mitchell's on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then the next one you go to is LCX, which is a central exchange. This gives people an option to invest in normal fiat currencies, but also other cryptocurrencies. So if I open up here, we go to LCX, and you can see there is our page. But once you've gone to exchange lcx.com or lcx.com and you've logged in, let me change it to English. Let's go to token sale. If you go to the token sales section, once you've registered and logged in, then you can actually get access to the sale. But this one, you may need 24 to 48 hours. So if you do want to invest with us, please do, so that we can enjoy the benefits that Profila will bring you and your family. But this gives you the opportunity to do a KYC. It takes 24 to 48 hours. You just need a utility bill. And then you're investing through a regulated entity, which is covered and valid in Europe and in space out of Liechtenstein. So yeah, you get going on this one because you do need to sign up and go through a couple of steps to be able to invest in the sale. And then you'll see the sale details over here. Okay, so this one's been going for a few seconds, yeah, so not too long. This one will take a little bit more time to get traction because people signing up will need to run through some of their actual KYC process. Okay, and there the site seems to be back, Mitchell, and I think they just had some capacity. And then we've got here the launch bowl. Let's see. Yeah, their main site is back, but there's still a few challenges on the ZEKE IDO page. Okay, we need to make sure that doesn't prevent anyone from investing today, but I'm sure it will come up. There we go. Okay, so we've kicked off already and we've got a few people on board. So those are the 2 links to go to. Okay, so the next is how do you participate in the IDO? We've got up to 200,000 ADA worth in ZEKE to give away this week. And that's through a couple of referral programs and engagement programs on the platform. So officially, we also on Friday last week closed our seed round. So to any previous investors that supported us over the last 2 years, because our seed round and private seed round went through the bear market, we really appreciate you. We successfully closed $1.3 million there. through also led through some of our key investors in CIO Management Fund and Revuto's R Fund, who were the first actually. So to the whole Revuto community, we really appreciate you, and we're going to ensure that you get value back, and we'll give value back to Revuto as a platform and everybody who invests. And then the latest investment milestones following our grants. So we've also got a huge thank you to the community who's voted for us over the years. Catalyst has helped us fundamentally to understand Web3 in our use case, because not many projects are building for advertising, building for data subscriptions, leasing data, and also for tracking advertising. But also we learned a lot during our research with the University of Madrid around zero-knowledge advertising. And there to be able to design a protocol that will use blockchain in the future to eliminate ad fraud was super exciting, and that will be implemented post-raise in 25, 26. But yeah, up to 1.2 million in grants. That was 12 times from Catalyst, and then also from the Swiss government. We were awarded a grant through InnoSwiss, which is the innovation fund for our AI privacy research. This was before the ChatGPT boom, because we were researching and investigating chatbot interfaces for privacy back in 2018 with CERN in Geneva. And we actually did a lot of work in pros and cons of how to manage that, how to actually make the interaction better. And we took those learnings from the CERN project and approached the Swiss government and the University of Lucerne, and spent 2.5 years building now what is a smart knowledge base for privacy. Very cool. We'll talk about that later, maybe tonight in detail, because we've got 2 or 3 golden eggs in Profila, which will really take us outside of a traditional walled garden approach of a platform, which is our zero-knowledge advertising protocol, which we funded ourselves in research with the University of Madrid, and then the AI research with the University of Lucerne was 2 really foundational projects for us. Okay, then next is how to participate. And Mitchell, as I'm talking, if you can just post these links onto X so that people can see. And I think we've got more chats coming up here. Launch bowl section is working now. Thanks, Kuni. Okay, so we're just reporting the refresh issue for us. Thank you. Going on how to participate on the sale for LCX. So if you click on that link that Mitchell will post, you'll be brought to a Medium page, which will take you through the whole registration process, okay, on LCX. And for those not aware, LCX has been around for quite a few years, but they got a lot of attention through Cardano recently when Frederick met up with Monty Metzinger, co-founder of LCX, and also Timons, which was one of the first diamond real-world asset projects. But the process here is pretty simple on how to sign up to LCX. And on that platform, you can invest in ADA, ETH, BTC, USDC, and Euro, and dollars. So it is a nicer way to be able to invest in Profila and in the ZEKE token using different currencies. So please have a look at this link. And Mitchell, if you can just mute while you're typing, because it's banging away there, which I like. It's cool. Means he's active. Okay, so just follow the process. And as mentioned, you do need 24 hours. The guys are on standby there, and we got some approvals done even over the weekend. And we'll make sure that any registrations go through are handled. If not, and you're having a blocker or a challenge on the site, please reach out to us directly, and then we'll be able to help you out with that process. Okay, so that's getting ready on the LCX exchange. But over here is what we were talking about earlier, which Luke will walk us through a little bit later on how to test the platform. But we are giving away a percentage of your investment. So 10% extra ZEKE on whatever you've invested if you follow these few steps to get to know the platform. And as Luke said, he could do it within 10 or 20 minutes. Okay, and that's because there's a delay. So you'll have to wait a day to take the next step. And that's intentional because of our campaign management, which if you engage with a certain advert or a certain content, it will wait for a day and then show you another piece of content. And of course, we want you to come back to the platform to have a look at what it looks like and how it feels. So if you read this, you'll see a bit more details as to how you can actually earn, okay, on the platform. And is the bonus amount capped? No, we're only raising a conservative million ADA. So it will be a percentage of that. So anyone who invests up to our max will receive the reward, okay, which is important. Here's a couple of steps. So please take this link and follow through. And Luke will show this live for those who hang out on the call on how to actually sign up to the platform. We'll go through the whole flow of signing up, getting in, seeing your actual transactions coming through. Just a note though, when Luke shows you, the transactions on our wallet dashboard are not live and those are not for payout yet. Our smart contracts are still on testnet, but you will be able to see the interactions that you've made in the wallet. And then on the back end, we've tracked that and we'll be able to give everybody their rewards. Post-launch, and that was by plan, during the 1 month post-launch, everything will go live as far as the actual cash out process on the platform for smart contracts, for data subscriptions, and also for any rewards that we give to individuals. So that's a keen one to note. Okay, so here's some more instructions. Okay, and then all the links of how to get hold of us. So then next is very similar, is the process for investing on MinSwap. And you can see this one I think is simpler for the Cardano community, is to just jump on board, attach your wallet, and invest. So a lot quicker. And we thank you for the early investors who jumped on immediately and supported us. Okay, so the instruction flow is very similar and you'll be able to invest early, and if you take the steps on the platform, you'll be able to receive your 10% bonus. Okay, so public ZEKE sale bonus opportunities. There's another Medium example which goes into more detail just about that. Okay, so how will they be earned and how will they be paid out? So a lot of guides for people during the week to be able to make sure that you can participate. One extra one, which is for us, just to make sure that we're as compliant as possible. Since 2 or 3 years, we're working with Altcoinomy in Geneva. They're our financial intermediary partner. So all of the seed and private round investors went through KYC and AML with our regulated entity in Geneva. And we're asking any investors from MinSwap, if they want to earn more, to go through this process. You still stay anonymous to Profila, but obviously this helps with any future regulatory steps that may come in with MiCA and with other regulations. So it's an appeal, it's not compulsory. So you can decide whether you want to do that or not. Okay, there's a lot more information there again too about how to get onto the platform and how to earn your ZEKE. Medium article on ZEKE tokenomics. This one, when when Michiel joins us again, we'll walk through it with everyone watching on what the ZEKE token is actually all about. Okay, so it will be the actual workings of the tokenomics, what our allocations were, why our certain allocation amounts were decided on. And as people can see, it's 53% of the tokens are going to the community post-sale through rewards on the platform. Okay, and ecosystem development and ecosystem rewards. So a lot of projects take different strategies, and it's important to understand the thinking behind it. For us, we wanted to ensure that people actually use the technology that we've built rather than just giving away the whole lot through a public sale. But there's pros and cons to both sides, but we believe incentivizing people to build a profile, to manage their data more effectively and reward them to do that is key to our own growth, but also to bringing transaction volumes to Profila and hence to Cardano. Because if people in the thousands and millions, and the platform is built to scale to 100 million, is to bring all of those people to the platform through rewards, through incentives, to build a profile that the industry is interested in. And our promise is that you can share that with the industry with zero data leakage and keep your privacy intact. So when Michiel's back with us, we'll walk through the tokenomics, the distribution, and how that's happened, and any of the logistics post-sale. Obviously, for anyone who's buying live, straight after the sale ends, you get the tokens into your wallets. And then for our pre-seed and seed investors, team, and whoever else, the vesting period starts 1 month after the sale. And we'll be working with drip drops, I think, Mitchell, to make sure that everyone gets their allocation through the next 9 to 12 months.
Yep.
Okay, great. So then looking forward to testing the platform. We'll definitely take you through that probably after I've finished talking with Luke until Michiel's got time to come back. But if you want a deeper dive into Profila, this week I'll be doing 4 or 5 investor pitches with members of the community who will question me and ask me questions about Profila and why we took certain choices. But the investor deck can be found. It's very simple, very concise. We know our use case. We know exactly the market we're after. And we also know the size of market that we look to tap into of $870 billion. And we know exactly how we're going to bring a large chunk of that revenue to Cardano, okay, in transaction volumes. And something that we've fundamentally changed, is how much people earn versus competitors. There's been a lot of projects, and I'm willing to take any question about the data aggregation projects that have been come and went, because they were good in principle, but they forgot a few things around, well, all I'm doing is actually just selling my data again to another data broker or to a company. In Profila, we've changed that model, okay, where you can lease your data, but you never sell it. And you get between 50 and 80% of any cash for data, and any cash for ad revenue that Profila brings from brands goes to people, which is significantly higher than the ones that we respect the most, like Brave, that started this journey. And I think they've done an amazing job with the search and the privacy on search. But the compensation side, I think, fell short. It's your time, it's your data. So we're going to make sure that most of the revenue, even as Luke tries to say all the time, even up to 95, 99%. As our operations become larger and smoother, we will reduce the percentage transaction fee that we take. Luke?
And we'll always do that during ZEKE week. We'll have some sort of knob that we turn down or turn down the price.
Absolutely. Anyway, there's a lot of information to go through on the pitch, and we've got some new slides which will educate the watchers, and that's going to happen quite a few times this week. I'll have one-to-one pitches and live streams. We also have several versions of a brand briefing. We've got a super flashy one. But this is our pitch to brands on how they can treat their customers better by bringing them to a platform that has zero surveillance, zero nudging algorithms, gives them perfect data. I actually started saying 100% accurate data, because if your customer has told you that's exactly what it is, that's what it is. So it's 100% accurate.
Quick on that point is, we're constantly thinking of how making sure we're not incentivizing fake users, fake brands, fake data. It doesn't do you any good. And I say this often on live streams. Other platforms, if it's 2 people screaming obscenities at each other, that's good for them. They just want interaction. They don't care the quality of it. We want good interactions. We want to cultivate good relationships with real people, real brands, and make sure that relationship is good. And that's what the world needs.
Exactly. Thanks, Luke. And we'll be deep diving this in the next hours and in the next sessions, where we'll actually present all of this material to you, go through how we designed the platform, but the main messages for brands around how we take a lot of burden off of companies. Companies don't understand how much money they're wasting on CRMs and CDPs, where we can change that in the future. So looks like we got Michiel back. Let's see if I can add him. There we go. Michiel, do we have you this time?
Yeah, I think so. Good morning, everyone.
That's much better.
Hey.
Yay.
5G. Yeah.
5G, better than
That wasn't
Wi-Fi.
very smooth this morning, but now I'm all here.
No worries. So to catch up, Michiel, I've just been taking the audience through the process that we're going in the week. We've gone through the mail. We've showed them the links to the LCX and MinSwap sites so they can trade, and also the links to the material on how to understand to get their bonuses. And we're pretty much at the end here of this mail. So if there's any challenges through these steps and processes, please reach out to us. Probably easier on DMs on X, or you can mail us at ZEKE@profila.com, or connect with any of us directly. But we're here to help this week. And Michiel, while you're away, we came up with a new thing. Luke did. It's called ZEKE Week. So every month we're going to have a ZEKE Week, where we give away prizes and we show the community how much transaction volume and brand cash we're giving away to people.
I do not suggest one week a month. That seems excessive.
I think it has to happen that way, because just a quick one for those watching, but we'll dive deeper into tokenomics and that next with Michiel. But every month, as brands pay you for your time and attention, we take any cash that comes into the business and we'll be purchasing ZEKE and paying that out to people. And we'll do that over a phased period, but there'll be a lot of buyer pressure in a monthly cycle coming into the token, which is very healthy for its price performance. But we'll dive into that a little bit later. Okay, so we've given a summary of what we're going to be doing for the rest of today. We'll be on here for a couple of more hours. But Michiel, if you're ready, I think the one that's interesting for the community at the moment is explaining the ZEKE tokenomics. So do you want to bring that one up, or should I? And then you can just talk through it.
Yeah, maybe if you can bring it up, because I'm on my phone, so I can't for the moment.
I'll do that and then share the screen, and then you can just talk through this Medium article for everyone. Let me make it as big as possible. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, now I'm going to share. Okay, fire away and tell me when to scroll.
Yeah.
Explain the table first, yeah.
I'll explain the table first. So the table is a snippet from a very, very, very detailed Excel sheet that shows the allocation of the 500 million ZEKE we have in total supply, which is divided into, let's say, 4 buckets of categories. There's one bucket which is about 18%, which we consider the sale. So that is both the pre-seed and the seed round. This is the initial round, the discounted rate, which started in 2022 and was closed yesterday night, where we raised about $1.2 million or $1.3 million. Then the ISPO was a distribution of ZEKE through our own stake pool and through our partner stake pools in, I think, March, April of this year. And then now we're at the IDO on MinSwap and the ICO on LCX, and then there will be an airdrop post public sale to every Cardano wallet via drip drops. So that's about 18% of the total token supply. We have then the blue category. The blue category is called ecosystem. So that's ecosystem rewards, which is 33%, and ecosystem development. So let me explain first a little bit what is the ecosystem rewards. So we have a product. The product is ready. I think Sean already explained a little bit what the product does, but people inside the Profila app should fill in their personal information, their psychographics, fill out quizzes, share their personal data with brands. And so for all of these steps where you're active and actively building up your accurate profile, we nudge you to do the right thing and to come back and to keep it evergreen, as we call it. Consider it a bit like Duolingo giving you points or levels up when you proceed in a level of mastering a language. We give you ZEKE tokens when you get better at managing your own personal data profile. And so these 165 million ZEKE we're giving them away, quote unquote, for free to the people that are going to be using the app in the coming years. We know that it will take a little bit of time to get acquainted with this new process of managing your personal data. So this incentive, we hope this incentive will help. And then ecosystem development is a pot of 20%, which we specifically reserve for development of the features that are necessary to make the app better according to our roadmap in the next 12 to 24 months. Then the third bucket is liquidity. So this is reserved 5% for providing liquidity initially only on LCX and MinSwap, but then also on the other centralized exchanges that we'll be listing on. And then the last bucket is the bucket for the team, the service providers, and the advisors who have the longest vesting period. So you'll see the amount of tokens, the percentage of the token supply. Then you'll see a column that is called initial unlock. What does that mean? So you'll see that initial unlock is everywhere 0 except for the public sale. That means that when you bought tokens or when you get tokens, how many you get on day 1. So day 1 is the end of the public sale. Public sale is ending now on the 14th of February at midnight. And then as from that moment, everybody who participated in the IDO on MinSwap and the IDO on LCX will get 100% of the tokens that they bought directly to their wallets. They directly become tradable. You can sell them on an exchange. You can keep them. You can sell them to somebody else, but they're at your disposal. Whereas all the other token holders, they have a cliff and a vesting period. So that's in the other columns. Cliff means the period as from the end of the public sale. So the period as from the 14th of February of this year, where you don't get anything. That means 1 month where the tokens will remain locked in the Profila wallet. And then after 1 month cliff, you'll have a vesting that starts. And a vesting is, let's say, a gradual release. So if you have the pre-seed that says cliff 1 month and vesting 9, it means that 1 month after the public sale, 1/9 of your total amount of tokens will be available for you to claim to your wallet. And then over a period of 9 months, you'll get 1/9 of your investment. So let's say you had a $90,000 investment. Now for 1 month, you're getting nothing as a pre-seed or seed round investor. And then over a period of 9 months, you'll get $10,000 worth of ZEKE available. I'm opening my computer again. So you see that the cliff investing are the shortest for the pre-seed, the seed round investors and people from the ISPO. There's no cliff investing for IDO and ICO participants. So that means whoever buys this week will get their tokens sooner. And then there is the team, service provider, and advisor cliff investing, which is 3 to 12. That means nobody from the team, service providers, or advisors gets their token in the first 3 months, and then over a period of 12 months will they vest. So that is the table explained. You can scroll a little bit down. We wrote a Medium article that explains a lot about these tokenomics. So you have 6 chapters. First, it is explaining how ZEKE is distributed. I already did that a little bit over the different investment rounds. Then some details about the public sale, cliff investing, the token raise targets that we have, and how to claim ZEKE. So if you scroll down the different rounds, I did pricing, I did the timeline as well. So all of the past rounds have closed. The only round that is still open is the public one, and that is only for the next 5 days. Cliff investing was also explained. Then maybe, the budget allocation. You can see this detailed in the white paper. So the pre-seed and seed, these funds allowed us to develop the platform over the last 1.5 or 2 years. And now the raise we do with the IDO is to further develop the platform, do the brand trials, because we have a lot of brands that we're talking to for a test. And the largest part of the funds we raise is for technical development and infrastructure. That's about 40%. Then 30% is for the supporting team, staff, and developers. Then we have some for contractors, 10% for marketing, and then some admin and contingency costs. Maybe important how to claim ZEKE. So I get a lot of questions about how to claim your ZEKE tokens. If you participate in the IDO or in the ICO, you don't have to claim anything. So the platform that you're buying them on, either it's MinSwap or LCX, already has the tokens at their disposal, and when you buy them, they will directly become available for you at the end of the public sale. So during this sale week, they might show in your wallet on LCX or on MinSwap, but they are not yet freely accessible, so you can't transact with them yet. Of course, if you want to participate on the MinSwap IDO, you need a Cardano wallet, otherwise you can't connect to their decentralized exchange and launchpad. And MinSwap being a great project, I think they pretty much allow for integration with every Cardano native token wallet. So you set up a wallet. The article explains also how to do it. You buy some ADA, you can connect to MinSwap, and then you can participate. That's very easy. The steps to set up a wallet on LCX are not Cardano specific, so you just do an AML and KYC procedure after you log into their exchange wallet, and then you have the different wallets available, which hold ADA and ZEKE. But on LCX, you can participate with Euro, USDT, or USDC, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ADA. So you have more buying options available. So as I mentioned, ICO and IDO participants don't have to claim anything. They will just get it at the end of the sale week. But then everybody else, so that means the people from the ISPO, the people from the airdrops, pre-seed and seed round investors, and also the team, they will be able to claim their tokens on drip drops. For those who don't know drip drops, that's a token distribution platform. They're more than that, but they have token distribution functionalities where you can claim with a large amount of people tokens from one project. And so remember the cliff that I mentioned before. 1 month cliff applies for everyone except for the IDO and ICO participants. So on the 14th or 17th of March, probably the 17th of March, because the listing on MinSwap and LCX starts on the Monday now. Around that time, you'll be able to go to drip drops. Click on the Drip It tab, then paste your ADA or Cardano native token wallet there and just claim your drip drop tokens. And then you'll be able to see the amount of ZEKE tokens. So 1/9 of your ZEKE tokens will be there available. And once you just claim it, you pay, I think, 3 ADA, of which 1.5 ADA comes back, give or take. Let's see if the numbers are here. Yeah, it's approximately 1.3 ADA that you pay. 1.3 will be returned, so it's about 1.7. It's a euro and a half that it costs you to claim your monthly Profila tokens. Yeah, that's about it for the tokenomics. If you have any questions about the tokenomics, you know how to find me on Telegram, where I'm very active, or on X. Just send me a DM and we can talk about it. Back to you, Sean.
Awesome. Thanks, Michiel. And sorry for the Teams flash up. Just lining up Luke for the next phase of our morning chat. So to the 94 people that are watching, please ask us questions because the question stream is coming through. And what is being answered already by Michiel for a question this morning was how to become a subscriber and gain something and how to use the tokens. So what we'll do now is Luke will take you through how to sign up and how to get onto the platform and how to take a couple of steps that will earn you ZEKE as part of the giveaway for the week.
Give me 2 minutes because I got to join via my other computer.
No problem. Well, if you want, I can run it through here.
No.
Okay, you're joining up there. Good. There
you
it
want
is. I'll
the
add it. There we
just
go.
to confirm, you want the steps someone does for the token sale to get their bonus, or a general?
Just walk through signing up anyway and a bit of navigation of the interaction, then show them how to earn their ZEKE.
Okay. There we go. Actually, 1 second. Let me start this over again.
You've joined through two other ones, your camera
Yeah, that's
as well.
almost the danger.
Okay. Should I take that other one off? This one that's there now?
No, I'm just going to
Okay.
share here in a second. Okay. Yeah, so these steps are covered both in a Medium article that's on the front page about earning your 10% bonus on the amount that you invest in ZEKE. Also, instructions are part of the process as well, kind of taking you each subsequent step. So here we are on the login page for Profila, and we're going to sign up as an individual. Now, I've already got an account, so I need to do a ZEKE week. Create a new account. It's going to ask for my nickname, and that's going to be, I'm going to call myself ZEKE week. Which country? And I'm a proud resident of ZEKE, Switzerland. Birth date, I'm going to not give my real birthday because I don't want, much like when people wake up on their birthday and they have all those emails wishing them a happy birthday from every brand they ever signed up for. They don't need to know my birthday. I am a man. And now we're going to get a code, so wait for a second, confirmation code, and that's the last step. So it's actually a very, very straightforward, simple sign-in process for the platform. Go and check my email here. There we go. Nope. I can't find the window. There we go. Okay, 2540, and now I have a Profila. Well, that can't be good. That might have been my fault. Well, it might be because of my email address. I may need to start this over. Sean, talk over me for a while here.
No worries. There's always bugs on demo day. Don't worry.
No, this wasn't a bug though. This was that I've used that email address so many times.
That's what I told you. Then that's a good alert to get. This for everyone.
I'll get it back to that step, and then I'll take over again.
No worries, no worries. So what the team at the moment is doing, our developers, we were also awarded recently or late last year by Google's Web3 Foundation in Switzerland, also grants. So we're moving part of our hosting into the Google Cloud. And people immediately say, well, what about privacy? So what we pitched to Google was the vision and mission for Profila as being a privacy environment for people to protect and manage their personal data. And I think the perception from a lot of people is that no cloud is safe. Depending on the company and the infrastructure and how you set it up, you do leave yourself vulnerable to the entities themselves being able to access data, okay, in cloud. So there's two approaches to look at it. There's something called the Cloud Act, which allows the US to look through any American company to get access to data, but following due process. Okay, so we spent a lot of time, even with Microsoft in the past and their teams, in discussing the process from US to Switzerland to be able to get access to data on official channels. And that would only be in the case of massive fraud or anti-terrorism and so on. So people's data are linked to Switzerland, especially with the privacy and secrecy that we have in Switzerland, is still paramount. But we're taking the opportunity to also show Google, through hosting parts of the platform on their infrastructure, that there is a different way to engage with customers and keep the data private. That's part of a two-pronged strategy for us. One is to show Google that they don't always need to track everyone to find relevant data, even if it's for search. That's why we want to have a supply of information coming from individuals through their infrastructure. But that change is happening over the next couple of months. And later in the day, or even this evening and next week with IGON, we're also talking a deep dive on our data infrastructure. Because we'll do the best we can to protect an individual's data on any cloud instances that we will be setting up around the world. So our ambition is to allow you to decide where you store your data based on your residency for best data protection. But then also we're going to be giving people access to distributed or decentralized infrastructure like IGON or like a Filecoin. IGON is that in Cardano, to be able to take their profiler off of any cloud environment. And then Profila as a platform only gets snapshots and metadata from your profiler that's hosted on a totally different environment. So we're taking many, many layers of privacy and security into consideration, depending on how much an individual is obsessed with looking after their data, which is a good thing. So we're confident that we'll be able to delight anyone, even the privacy maximalists. Luke, you're in now?
Yes, I think you should. I'm sharing. There you
you
are.
go.
Okay. So you can see how quick it happened. So I re-registered with another email address, and this is the first experience I'm going to have in Profila. Profila is added to your relationships as a connection, which I'll get into in a little bit. And of course, the first welcome message gives me the steps I need. Now, in many ways, I've already done. Let's see. I've signed up, which is part of the 4 tasks. And now I need to take the next step, which is I need to navigate to the brand section, and I need to add one of the fictional brands we use for testing called Funky Fashionista. So we're going to add them as a connection. When I get to that page, I'll explain the different relationship types in Profila, because that's important for this process to educate you, but also to understand who you're sharing data with and for what value. So I'm going to go and add them as a connection. Now, the Funky Fashionista brand is set up that anytime somebody adds as a connection, they're automatically sending a subscription offer to them. So accepting that then is the next part of the tasks you need to complete to get your 10% bonus. So I'm going to go to the brands part of Profila. You can see I have different relationship types. We'll talk about that right now since we're going to go through that process. The lowest part is of votes. If you search for a brand on the platform, you'll most likely find it, but it may not be in the platform yet. But that gives you the chance to vote for that brand, which is basically a signal saying, we want this brand, we want Nike, we want Adidas, whoever, to join the platform. It does 2 things. One, it provides us an excuse to go to Nike and say, well, you've got 1,000 people that are wanting to be your customer on Profila. Why don't you come and trial it out? No risk with those individuals that have told you that they're interested in a better relationship with you. For you, once a brand that you voted for join the platform, you'll get a notification, and you'll be able to upgrade them to a connection and then decide which pieces of data you want to share with them. So a connection is kind of a one-way signal from you to a brand that is on the platform saying, I'm interested in a better relationship. I'm interested in exclusive content, exclusive offers. This 2-way loyalty program that we have created with Profila is one of the many, many use cases. So let's take that step right here. So I'm going to type in Funky, and there's Funky Fashionista along with some other funky brands. And here's the interface that comes. Okay, I want to add Funky Fashionista as a connection. Do I want to share a few pieces of information, just demographics with them? Or do I want to do not share any personal information at this point? And this also gives them limited access to communicate with you on a limited basis, but they don't have any real important personal information, just a little bit of demographics. I'm going to say no, though, so I'm just going to add them as a connection. So you see now they are part of my connections. So in this case, they can see that somebody with no information about them, because that was the choice that I made, somebody is interested in a better relationship with them, And again, their back end, the management of a brand, which Sean will show later, triggers a subscription offer. So if I click on that, it takes me to something called Ledger, which is essentially in the future, as we add more and more ways to interact, this will be a ledger of the entire relationship between you and each brand that you have, whether it's special offers or other loyalty things, feedback I've sent to the brand, rights assertions, and as we add more and more features, this will continue to be the ledger for that. And the inspiration for this was how people use chats, where their messages are on the left, mine are on the right, but over a long time, it's going to be difficult to scroll through the entire relationship. So there'll be really interesting filters and sorting sort of things to say, okay, well, show me all the current offers that are still valid, and be able to come up with those very quickly. So this is the basis of Profila. This is an offer of a data relationship between this brand and myself. So it details when it would be valid for, so it's only valid for this week, for ZEKE week, the income, and then what information they want to have from me. So there is some personal information they want to have access to, and they want access to the insights from all the surveys I take around my shopping preferences. Now, what these things do for me is obviously, I'm in control. I can accept this or decline this, and I can also revoke it if the brand upsets me or I just don't feel like having a relationship with it anymore. And that's really the basis of a data relationship. It's consent, it's transparency, and it's revocability. And this information, what it does for my value is it provides them enough context for me to put me in a much more accurate segment, either because of my age and my location, or also the psychographics that come from my self-discovery quizzes. They know more about me than they did before, and they can say, okay, let's stop sending Luke a lot of irrelevant stuff that's not going to be effective. Let's put him in a much more accurate segment and market to that, which is good for them. It's good for us. It's good for you. And so the idea that with my single Profila, my single vault of the most accurate, authentic, and valuable information, any place in the world about me, and I have full control over who has access to it. That's the model that has to work in the future. It's going to be obviously much better for individuals because I can create one Profila and keep answering questions and keeping it up to date. And I can have 100 brands subscribe to me. And so if I'm changing any of that information, if my travel preferences change over time, they get that update as well because they subscribe to me. And it's all based on my consent. So I'm going to say accept. So now I have a valid subscription, and now they are a subscriber. So they've been upgraded to a subscriber, which is a two-way relationship. Either party can end it if it no longer serves their purposes. And it also gives them access to essentially put information in my feed, communication in my feed. So I've accepted a subscription offer for them, and of course they have that triggered as well. Once somebody becomes a subscription of Funky Fashionista, send out that first welcome message or that first communication as well. One thing I want to mention about this feed that makes it much, much different than anything else on the internet is I control it. There's no algorithms. There's no sponsored posts by people, companies, brands I don't know. My feed is only the brands that I've let in the door, and I have control over that. And even that, I have even more granular control with a feature that is coming up called Metronome, which is always accessible in any post. And that is maybe Funky Fashionista in the first couple weeks of this relationship, they're sending me too much. They're kind of oversaturating my feed. I can actually decide in 3 buckets: exclusive content and experiences, new products and special offers, and then company information. And I can actually change the cadence of what they're allowed to send me. I can say, you know what, I don't want any company information from Funky. I only want offers and experiences. So you can actually control the pipes. And this is another feature that simply doesn't exist. The ability to actually control how often a brand can communicate with you doesn't exist in your email inbox, doesn't exist on any social media, because again, their incentive is just to maximize communication, maximize getting in front of me, screaming as loud as they can to get my attention. In Profila, it's your quiet place. So it's your place where you can, again, control which brands you let in the door and how often they can communicate with you. So that's one of the many differentiators of Profila. So in this case, I now know that I'm halfway to receiving my 10% bonus. I've signed up and I have accepted a subscription offer from a brand. And so the next step, which I can also do today, is vote for 10 brands. So think about the brands that I love. Think about the brands that I'd love to join their loyalty program, which is possible on Profila, and add those brands to the platform. So if I navigate to brands, which I'll do after this, and in the search box, I can search for brands that I love. Click the vote button, and once I get to 10, I can go further. I can walk around my house and think about the brands that I like and the brands that I buy, and the brands that I want to be included in Profila. So if I go back to brands, I'm going to start thinking, what do I have a lot in my house? I have a lot of Apple products. Now, again, if they were on the platform, I would get the connections interface that we saw earlier, but this, since they're not yet, I can vote for them as a brand, and they will add them as a brand. Let's think about who else that Everybody who knows me knows how much I love Keen shoes and hiking boots and such. So I gotta add them. And with someone like Keen, I look at my closet right now, and from hiking boots to hiking shoes to sandals to whatever, I've got my entire collection of Keens, and they're all fairly new, which means that in Profila, I could actually say, you guys, hey, I love Keen, but I don't really need anything for the next 6 months because everything I have is fairly new. But once I want something, once I have a need for new hiking boots, for instance, then they're going to be the first people I want to talk to and the first people I want to get an offer from. And Profila gives you the possibility to communicate to them. Let's see about other brands we love. We love Radisson Hotels. I may need some suggestions because I don't buy much anymore. We're on the entrepreneurial journey.
Lego,
of course.
NFL, Eagles.
Okay.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles. Fly, birds, fly.
I don't even watch NFL. I mean, I'm a rugby guy because they.
Well, an interesting sidelight. The Kelsey brothers. Obviously, one played for the Eagles. He retired last year, and obviously Travis plays for the Chiefs. 2 years ago, obviously, it was brother against brother, and obviously one brother was very sad. But I know Jason Kelsey's wife. Obviously, he's retired now, but refuses to not support the Eagles and everything. She's also a Philadelphia girl.
Good.
So.
Can do Ferrari, Mercedes, Porsche.
Oh, let's do Porsche. That's 5.
So you got to get to 10, eh?
What else? What else do I buy? I don't buy very much anymore. Another brand, people. Adidas. Okay, so that's 6.
Rolex.
Oh, Rolex.
Go to the brands that we've spoken to in the past.
Another brand we've talked to in the past, yes.
So we've spoken to Rolex. I'll be showcasing a lot of this during the week for those that are watching. Over the past years, we've engaged quite deeply with over 50 brands, and we're going to be presenting what they wanted from us and how we've tailored to that.
And with Rolex, we talked about a couple of things. We talked about both white labeling Profila, so use powered by Profila concept were parts of the mechanisms, but also we talked about the kind of loyalty features they could have in Profila, things like exclusive customer service numbers for only a segment of customers, or the ability to find somebody to repair my Rolex regardless of where I am in the world.
You can do Dolce Gusto. Spoke to them too in Brazil. Then next you can do Red Bull, because they took us through a compliance process and we passed the compliance in Austria thanks to Michiel. Red Bull. And Jabra, which
well, I got my 10. Well, I'm gonna go more because we like.
Let's do one more. Jabra.
We'll do Jabra. So with that, I now have 11 votes. So again, as I said before, if any of those brands, when those brands join the platform, I'll get a notification. I can upgrade them to a connection and potentially get a data subscription from them. And also now I've achieved 3 of the 4 tasks to get my 10% bonus on the amount that I invested in ZEKE. When I come in here tomorrow, I'll get another message from Funky Fashionista with instructions on how to finish up my 4 tasks and achieve my 10% bonus on all the many, many euros and dollars and ADA that I'm investing in ZEKE. So that is a take through of how to get your 10% bonus.
You go to the wallet, you should see the transactions there. They're not the values, but they just show that the transaction happened.
Yes.
Cool.
Profila from Funky Fashionista.
So that's just a note for everyone. We're tracking the actions, but the cash out and payouts happen post-sale, and in the month following that, all our smart contracts and payouts will go live. But we'll be able to track your actions to earn your rewards. Awesome.
And that's it for me for now.
Thank you, Luke. So that's easy as that to earn 10% extra on your investment. So we encourage everyone to refer their friends and to take a better, deeper look at ZEKE. If you've been following us for years, there's a few reasons why we built the company. But I'll do now, just to get practice for the rest of the week, a quick fire pitch. Okay, and then after that, we'll go over to Mitchell, who will just give an update of the events that are coming up for the week, where you can find more information from us. And then we'll bounce back to showing you a bit of the back end. But let me jump into a quick fire presentation. Okay, so Profila is a personal media platform. I think we're all aware of what a profile is, but just for those who have forgotten, Cambridge Dictionary calls it a short description of someone's life, work, and character, and more. If you look at your profile on Facebook or in other programs, even in the company, it is a subset of data that defines who you are. And that's where Profila came from. So a profiler is exactly that. It's data that you decide to collect that describes you, but that you own. Okay, so a fundamental difference in the way that data is managed is represented by Profila. But what is the key problem? We've tackled the advertising industry, because when we started the company, we had this mission to solve for privacy in 2017, a massive objective. But we also focused on where is the problem started. So it started with advertising and with, if you remember the Social Dilemma movie, people are being tracked and surveilled endlessly purely to fuel data into the advertising system. And we've got a dilemma here, is that brands do invest billions. As you saw, and you'll see more statistics, they're investing billions in the hope that they can find the right customer through tracking, through surveillance, and sometimes legitimately through first-party interactions, but that's very little nowadays, in the hope that a few people are going to purchase something. And I think that obsession has blinded a lot of companies to the fact of what they're actually doing and the consequences of the algorithms that they use on these platforms to continuously be putting data and content in front of people purely to hope that they click and buy. And we believe that there should be a space for something different. And the second to that is the whole industry relies on what is called impressions and click-throughs. So an impression is literally when you're swiping on Instagram and an ad comes and goes within a millisecond, that is a chargeable event. Okay, so every company that's advertising and you've just swiped past it, that is an impression because it was in your feed. Okay, and that is the currency that a lot of these companies use to say, well, a lot of people are looking at my brand. Okay, so there must be interest. However, the conversion rate for this industry is remarkably low, and that's being very friendly. So behind this problem statement is surveillance and the nudging algorithms that are manipulating our minds and our children's minds. That was the core, the main reason we started Profila, but we've targeted advertising industry to see how we can actually change the problem by offering an alternative. So just having a look at some of the pure hard data. Okay, the industry that we're tackling is the advertising space, which is about $870 billion of spend. Of that, a portion is digital, $300-400 billion, depending on what metrics you look at. but it is a massive industry that is obsessed with one thing, is knowing you better so that they can sell you something. And look, sometimes the ads that pop up are relevant. Okay, that's not saying that the surveillance mechanism is not good. It is good. My fear is that with AI and other tools, it is going to become even better, okay, which cuts the line as to where is my privacy? How do I control the narrative in the future? How do I protect myself from this continuous bombardment? And then secondly, it was amazing to me 5-6 years ago when I got into the industry, it was 56% of impressions are never seen by customers because they're hidden away on a website where you just scroll past and you don't actually notice it and see it. So the industry is being ripped off at the same time through different tactics and techniques. And there's a lot of people that have been trying to raise their hand about this that I followed for years that get swiped aside because it is a great metric to have, is to say that millions and millions of people are seeing my company, but they're not. Okay, and the third for me is the most amazing and the most disappointing, is this comes from Statistica, and 0.66% of social media's average ad impression click-through per quarter in 2024. That means for every single impression that goes through, the only 0.66% of the time is somebody going to click on that content. Okay, in some industries it does go up, and in some mediums like mail and so on, it does go up, but it's always in the single digits or into the low teens, and people are so happy with that for conversion. Okay, we don't think that that's a viable use of people's time, but also of cash. Fourthly, there is a huge amount of fraud in this industry. Also something which is often overlooked. A lot of people are trying to get rid of it, but 170 billion by 2028 of ad fraud, which means that the ad was never even shown to people, and there's different mechanisms to try and fool these real-time bidding systems into thinking that people have actually seen the ads. And the final one is close to our hearts at Profila, is that 77% of Americans have little or no trust in leaders of social media. And that statistic is higher or lower in other parts of the world. The fundamental challenge is people know that we're being tracked. We don't have trust in these digital entities anymore, but it is a problem that many people think is too large to solve. For us at Profila, we have been working on this for 7 years, and we believe there is a better way. So let's just quickly have a look at what you probably know already. Okay, the data and attention economy today is making money everywhere except you as the individual. But you're the person who creates the data, and you're the person who's giving your attention. So again, as people say to you for many, many years, if you're not paying for it, you are the product. Okay, and people are getting sick and tired of hearing that, and so are we. Okay, but the customer's data and attention is the unpaid product. If you look at the ecosystem, there is a huge amount of surveillance mechanisms that track you from device to device. Every website has now got beacons in that track you wherever you go. There's cookies. I'll look at some of these sites. I did an analysis recently. Some of the news sites, the popular ones around the world, have got up to 200 or 300 companies that are tracking you through cookies. And you click one button and all of them get your data. And it's not just the data on that site. Okay, people forget that it's the data everywhere that you've been that they can track you device to device. Your IP address, which sites you were before, which sites you were after, where you went on your mobile phone after you did this on your laptop. So the surveillance mechanism is highly advanced, and it's only going to get worse, in my opinion, with AI. Okay, because then it's just going to get exponentially quicker and be able to assess where are you, what are you doing. And they're making a huge amount of money. Okay, and in the middle are data brokers. Some are responsible, so I'm not pointing finger at all of them, but that this industry is also monetizing the surveillance industry because they pool all of this data, and some of the very big companies around the world that we all know of have had fines themselves because they're not managing their access to this mass amounts of data that they're storing on customers, on people from all around the world. So data brokers are also fueling the problem, but they also make money. And then on top of that, we've got data brokers who've got all this data. Then we've got every single company around the world is under this impression that I have to have all of my customers' data. So we're investing heavily on CRMs, on CDPs, customer relationship management, and customer data portals to be able to manage as much data about my customer as I can. That was the old thinking of big data. I have to gather and gather and gather because maybe there will be some insights in there. Okay, we think that has gone way overboard, and it is also over monetized. There's so much functionality that people do not use in their CRMs. But the fact is that 70% statistically of that data is out of date. It's dead, it's stale. Okay, and people are sitting on databases of millions of customers, and they get into trouble because either they've got the data illegally, they've stored it without consent, and then they're open to hacking. So there's a lot of risk in carrying that data. And then finally, there are way too many advertising platforms. And this obsession with having to be everywhere that my customer is frustrating. That's called omni-channel, which means that they just want to find out where are you going to be and let me shove an ad in front of you. Okay, and that's not how most people operate. If we want our quiet time, we want it. If we want to have some piece of information, we will go and get it. So this ecosystem, though, is where the $800 billion go. All right. And we have to change that if we're going to change how people can control their attention, their data, and their lives digitally in the future. So where does that take us to the economy tomorrow? We believe, and some people like the term or not, but it's time to cut costs. The industry is also not highly profitable. Some companies are sweating. Some brands themselves are struggling to keep their margins up. So we're offering a new way to cut out all of the middle layers. Your customer is smart enough. Okay, your customer is now empowered and enabled. And in a few years, we're seeing the biggest transfer of wealth in human history from the boomers, baby boomers, into the Gen Zs and millennials. And every one of those knows how to manage their data. They know how to manage technology. So we do not need all of these middle layers to surveil people, to host all this data, to put algorithms in place that are going to distract you and try and nudge you to buy something that you don't really want. And also, I think people are frustrated. They know that this is happening to them. So Profila was designed in a way to help companies to cut out all these middle layers and to build a platform that is for individuals. So everything we've built is for you. And the processes we've built is for you as a person to be able to decide, I'll give you this piece of data, but what am I going to get back? Okay, and that is a foundational change. And you can imagine going sitting in front of a CFO and then sitting next to the technical team and saying, like they're doing with the US government at the moment, do I actually need all this stuff? Year after year, we're spending millions and millions. And I've spoken to some very big companies over the last years who have spent literally double-digit millions into their CRM platforms and into other technologies. They still do not know the customer that walks into the front door. Okay, because the customer is changing their mind all the time. The customer is hunting different areas for a deal. So why go through all the effort and risk to host all of this data, to pay so many people for the service when you could just ask the customer? Okay, if you've got a good product and that customer is a match the two, take away the middle. Okay, so we see a massive disruption coming in this industry where we can cut out all of these if you've got a way to ask customers at broadcast scale, what do they want, without sacrificing their privacy. And that is a foundational change. Okay, it's not only cost cutting, it will improve the profitability of the industry, and it will bring back trust between customers who are alienated from just about every brand when it comes to how do I engage with them digitally. Okay, so we are proposing Profila as exactly this. It is a personal media platform. We will be the category defining company that starts this category, and in future you'll see CRMs will be dwindling out of the hype curve, and you'll have this new personal media platform category being opened up. Others will follow, and they will have to adapt, otherwise they will die. But there is a time and a place now for a platform which, using advanced Web3 technologies, give power and ownership back to people. Okay, and then we can cut out all those middle layers, and then thousands and thousands of brands can responsibly spend their data and ad budget on their customer. Okay, and you'll see how our model works now as far as where the data flows and where the revenue flows. But we can do all of that now in a privacy-preserving way. And that was the research we did for 5, 6, 7 years, is should we go and fix the old systems or get rid of them altogether? Okay, to be able to go and to change every one of those old platforms is why so many companies are investing again and again and again into these old legacy technologies. We don't need them anymore. Okay, ask your customer to build a profile of themselves, define their life. I know who I am and I know what I want in the future. Then request access to that data at broadcast scale. Your customers, if they're interested in your brand, will tell you. Stop irritating them though, then they will tell you. That's where we see a massive change in the future. So what is Profila's market positioning and what revenue are we after? As you can see there, and this for those not aware of marketing, we use the IDAR model. It used to be IDA, but we add retention on the end. And that is a marketing model for how brands attract people in a funnel to be able to become customers. And of course, when you're starting out as a brand, you have to go to the big wide world to say, I exist, okay? But that's where using AI will be a great opportunity to go and optimize, get the minimum amount of spend on these other dangerous platforms, because they are dangerous for many reasons. Okay, there's tracking, there's the nudging algorithms, plus there's also content that you can't control if your brand is going to be displayed next to it. Those are the three key issues with being out in what we call now the dirty web. But you have to go there initially just to get awareness marketing. Okay, but as soon as your customer has shown interest, so as soon as there's a pipeline in the interest funnel, bring them into a private place, which is Profila. Because Profila is not search, it is not social, it is a private channel for people to build relationships with companies that they want or need in their life. Okay, and then you can take them through the life cycle journey. That's why the number one metric in Profila is customer lifetime value. That is what we obsess on, not daily impressions, not daily active users. For us, actually, in the product that Luke showed earlier in Metronome, if you only want to see one ad a month from a brand because that's all you want to see, that's all you'll ever be shown on the platform. But then when that one ad does come or that one piece of content does come, you will want to see it. Okay, and that's where we will dramatically change the click-through rates on the platform. In fact, our North Star is to get companies to 100% engagement and 100% click-through. And that is 100x, okay, on the current environment. If you look at that 0.66%, okay, of click-through, we can get that to 100% if we allow people to control their time and attention, not nudge them and coerce them or steal their time to watch content that they don't actually want to see. But the most important point here is that Profila can replace that whole interest to retention funnel and the customer data. Okay, so over here, we used to have some cheeky crossing out the old CRM platforms and CDPs. Once this model is right, and it is being implemented now, and the data is under the control of every customer, you have what in probably 10, 15 years ago, people were talking about is a reverse CRM principle, or we call it a reverse data principle. Because at the bottom of it is if the data is created by the customer and it is accurate, and they are the ones that are telling you, I'm ready to buy or I'm not, okay, then you have gold. And in the platform, Luke showed you too, the surveys, that is building a psychographic profile of the individual. For that, we've built and designed new surveys that aren't fulfilling just one brand's desires. It's for an industry, okay, that asks questions. What are my sports preferences? What are my automotive preferences? So that an individual can build a good data set. The only new data we'll bring into the platform is we will allow people to import their insights, not all of the data, but their insights from their health records, from their credit card transactions, from their Spotify feeds, so that we can have actual data. Because there is a phenomenon where people, if they're taking surveys or they're self-declaring, they don't often tell all the truth, okay, because they sometimes want to present themselves differently to a brand. That's where first-party data does come in, and it's a fact check. And the way Profila will do that is we'll actually show this is what your data says about you, and this is what you're saying. It's still up to the individual, though, to say to that brand that, hey, Rolex, I love you. I am an aspirational buyer. And that is what brands want, is qualified data. Okay, so we can actually disrupt the entire ecosystem on one platform that has a totally different revenue model. And you'll be excited to see there that Profila as a platform takes 20 to 50% as a transaction fee, But that goes down and down and down until eventually it will be 2 to 3 to 5% only as the platform scales. And where does the cash go? It goes to the individual. And that is where the ZEKE token comes to play. All right, is that any cash that is paid for your data that you've managed, and any cash that is paid for any ad that you've engaged with goes to you as the individual. And that is the promise of Profila, is that it's your platform. And we're creating it in a way that we as Profila cannot even change that ecosystem. And that is the power and beauty of Web3, okay, is that platforms who are responsible can corner themselves out. And Luke often says our business model and our technology puts us in a corner that we cannot become bad. Okay, because it is yours. And that's the smart contracts that we're deploying. And that is what ZEKE represents. And the nice thing for the token economics, which I'll touch on a little bit later, is that all of that cash that comes through gets converted into ZEKE. We buy off the market every month, or as soon as the money comes in from the brands for your data, for your advertising, we buy 50 to 80% of all the cash gets converted to ZEKE and gets paid out to you as an individual. Okay, so there is going to be excellent buy pressure on the market for real dollars coming into the ecosystem, which we feel is pretty unique and can incentivize you. But please remember, no single individual makes a lot of money just from your data and just from your ad attention. There are smaller amounts than you're used to from a salary or a gig, a sideline gig, but it represents a contract between you and this brand to respect your rights and for the brand to have legal access to view your data, okay, either anonymously or through some search queries. So I think you can see now the size of market that we're looking to disrupt. It's not only the ad spend, it is the whole data and funnel, this whole data ecosystem and the funnel of managing your customer that can all be done on Profila in a very simplified way. We've cut out all of the feature creep. We've cut out all of the nonsense that is upsold to you on these legacy platforms, which you don't need. And we can prove that to you over time. So the roadmap is pretty complex, but I'll go through this in more detail on another call. But we have a very clear vision of what we're building. And this is based on a lot of research that we've done, plus also a lot of experimentation, as mentioned earlier, from the Catalysts grants that we've received. We understand exactly what we need to implement. And we are speaking to the world leaders as far as privacy-preserving technology. So the platform will have digital identities in. As far as Cardano, we've got the Atala Prism framework up and running in the platform, and we're busy in the process of updating that to Identis. We will link into wallets like Lace in the future to give people that power over the platform and to say, this is my identity, this is my data set. How much of that physical data moves into the wallets depends on the wallet providers. That's why we have a multi-wallet strategy, so that if another wallet comes that's got better capability or a different market, they can also attach to Profila to keep control of their data set. Then number two is on the data sharing and data management. This is where we spend most of our time because it is critical to how do we control data. And as mentioned earlier, we have a data distribution strategy in mind. We're obviously starting in the clouds first, where we'll have cloud instances of data stored in different geographical regions. And that's a project that we're doing with Google, who've given us a grant to show that we can protect data. But we're also, tomorrow, we're having a space with Iagon, and they're the leader in distributed infrastructure in Cardano, similar to IPFS, Filecoin, and we'll show you in the call tomorrow what the differences are with Iagon. But we'll give people opportunity to put their data off Profila platform altogether so that your Profila can reside where you want it to be. In the later in the year and early next year, you'll even be able to store it on your own hard drive or on your phone so that you've got control of the data set. And all you're sharing, even with the Profila platform, is a snapshot of what your data represents so that brands can take the step in number three. And number three is where the data sharing happens. And here we're working with another company, another very technical blockchain called Partisia, where we've got multi-party computation. In the other parts, in number one, we are considering Midnight, and we will be looking at zero-knowledge proofs in those ecosystem steps. But in number 3, where it comes to analyzing many customers' data, and we're talking tens of millions of customers and thousands of brands querying data, using multi-party computation, we can do that in real time, okay, without sacrificing any privacy. So a brand will never need to see your actual data. And that is my argument against them having to hold all this data in CRMs and CDPs. If they've got an identifier for who this customer is and they've got the data set around it to say that this is a target persona, why do they have to have all of the other data? They don't. So this is many terms here, confidential compute or whatever you want to call it, but we're using, and we will be using MPC. We've got a lot of research. We've been speaking to the company for over 2 years, and we've been also funded a grant to integrate this into Cardano. So it'll be the second privacy chain, if you want, aligned with Midnight. And Midnight and Partizia are talking to each other because they're complementary. And we'll be proving that your data is 100% safe from brands. 4 and 5 is the exciting roadmap. So number 4 is our zero-knowledge advertising protocol that was designed by the professors. That helps us to break out of Profila as a walled garden. So through this, it will be a protocol that can spread your data safely without any data leakage across the internet to websites, to apps, through SDKs, so that any company building an app can use your Profila data, and that can be pulled through safely and privately. So they don't have to worry about their own compliance, about their own privacy risks to manage personal data. They can use your Profila across the web in the future. And then number 5 is the blockchain. So we have to have the blockchain for public records, but also a private blockchain which manages more sensitive data when it comes to content that you viewed. And that's how we get rid of ad fraud in the future. So we'll deep dive this in another call, but we have a very well thought through architecture. And as you can see, we're at certain levels of maturity in our journey to build this world-changing platform. And our ambitions are large. Okay, we've since I started this project, there was a term in the company I was with before called a BHAG. This is a big, hairy, audacious project. That's why we have taken our time. We have not rushed in. I actually took a decision 2 years ago to rebuild the entire platform because it didn't meet the standards that I wanted for privacy and performance after an external company did an audit. So we're obsessed with getting a platform that is enterprise grade and can scale. So we have already kicked off a strategy last month to take part of the company into the US where all the ad spend is, and where adoption for our business model will be much more aggressive. And we believe that by the end of next year or in 2026, we'll have at least 10 million ARR with 600,000 minimum customers on the platform. And we're seeking valuations in the market because we're open with our Series A strategy already with several investors in the US. And that's the beauty about this platform is it is easy enough for a brand to switch that when we get traction, investors will say, okay, this is the next best bet. This is the next big platform that will take over the traditional SaaS models. And something that may not have been abundantly clear, but there is no licensing fee on Profila. Brands only pay for data that they need through a subscription and they lease from you, and they only pay for adverts that actually convert. We do not charge for impressions. So there is no long-term lock-in. It's easy to land and expand, to try it out, and to see if it's going to be useful for your brand. But that's the beauty in the business model, though, is it can scale to $1 billion company within 2 to 3 years or faster. Okay. So our roadmap, as you can see, is we've done extensive research and we've got enough insights behind us, and we've got a beta platform that we feel is worthy from March forward to trial with enterprise customers. And our USA strategy aligns with that, and we've already got a team being hired in the US and finding the right investors to take us to the next level of the company. Okay, and the investment opportunity is what's facing you today. So if you want to be involved in disrupting the ad industry, and I think a lot of people in Web3 are focused on many things, on DeFi, on Deepen, on infrastructure, on tech, on platforms. We are a DApp. Okay, we are an app which knows how to use Web3 to solve an industry use case. And I think all of these layer ones have realized that that's the next phase of their evolution, hence all of their programs to attract transaction volume. We don't think in transaction volume, though. We think in value to our ecosystem. And value to our ecosystem is how do we give brands a different place to access data at scale? Tens of millions, up to 100 million initially is what I've scaled the platform for. And of course, we have architectures ready that can take us higher as soon as we need to. We've geared our business for blitz scaling. But that whole model of mass brands to mass consumers through Web3 is what we've obsessed with. And a side effect or an outcome of us serving that market will be transaction volumes, okay, on any infrastructure that we decide to use. And that is what ZEKE represents. Okay, ZEKE will represent not only your portion of the cash that comes through, but also your rewards. And I think if you saw earlier, the tokenomics is at 53% of all of the tokens, and our model is different to others. We want you to be able to earn that over the next year or two to create a data profile, to bring the brands by voting to the platform and to help it scale. Okay, if individuals sign up, and we've got a dual flywheel effect. Brand first invites their customers onto the platform for a private relationship. The customer and the brand realize this is a better way to do things. Then the customer votes for more brands to say, hey, I want more of this attention. I want more of this control on my terms. We as Profila with our direct sales team go to those brands. And as I said, it's very easy for them to trial and invite more of their customers. So we'll have these dual flywheel effects that can get us to the millions of customers on the platform, even within 18 months. Okay, the brands that we're speaking to have got 13 to 20 to 30 million people in their database. And they're willing to trial with us for 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 people at a time. So we are geared for this type of growth. And all of that will be represented through the ZEKE token. Okay, so our next steps, if you want more information as a private investor, as an equity investor, but today, please consider us for an investment in the ZEKE token, because ZEKE, and if you don't know, it stands for the Zero Knowledge Token, which is the theme for Profila. It's zero surveillance was our first commitment. Then zero algorithms was our second commitment, algorithms that nudge you. And third is zero-party data, so that you control, you create the data profile. And then the zero knowledge advertising was coming behind that. So ZEKE represents zero knowledge for us. And obviously there's cool stuff in the Web3 world like the zero knowledge proofs and ZK snarks. So it is a theme in the market. But Profila and ZEKE will represent your control over your data, your control over your attention. Okay, and that is the biggest differentiator. And we thank the pioneers like Brave and so on in the market because they did set the way for basic attention. But if you want advanced attention, and even the professors told us that versus Brave, which is a passive zero knowledge environment, because you're sharing data by your search history and then ad content is still shown to you, decided what the brands decide. Profila is defined as an active zero knowledge environment because you're in full control of the brands you let in the door and you are the center of the universe. So there's a quick snapshot of what Profila's pitch is. I can do that in 2 minutes, but I took a little bit more time with you today just to convince you, not that you need convincing, that Profila is a viable alternative. A little bit later in the show, we'll take you through our proposition to brands in case there's a few brands that are watching today. But over to you, Mitchell. Take the audience through what's going to be happening over the next week for us while I grab a coffee. And I need a bit of sip of water.
Yeah, of course. No problem at all. So, hi, everyone. This is the face to the voice that you may have heard over the many spaces that we've done over the past few weeks and months. This week, we have a pretty decent schedule with some really fun stuff coming up. So first of all, tomorrow, most importantly, this evening, we have the ZEKE launch party. It starts at 5 p.m. CET or 4 p.m. UTC. And we'll have special guests on, such as Bullish Dumpling, CSwap, Dex. We'll have FarmRoll on, who are also just finishing up their IDO as we start that space. So it'll be great to have them on. Also, and Tradingly as well, who did their recent token sales. So that'll be fun. Make sure that you stop by. And then tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. UTC, 2:30 p.m. CET, we're doing music trivia with Noom. We have 5,000 Noom tokens and 5,000 ZEKE tokens to give away during that. So if you fancy yourself a bit of a fanatic, or even if you just think you can beat the other people that are there, definitely show up. That'll be a fun one, very lighthearted, and I'm looking forward to a non-technical crypto discussion space. So definitely stop by that. And then in the evening tomorrow, if you do enjoy all of the technical stuff, Sean will be talking with Navjeet from Igon. We have an announcement coming out about that soon, and that's at 6 p.m. CET or 5 p.m. UTC. So for all you architecture nerds or people, I don't think I can say nerds, but I already did. Make sure to join us for that. It'll be great as well. Wednesday, and I'm sorry, actually, through the week in general, Luke and Sean will both be doing live streams kind of like in this format. Luke will be doing demos with guests and really highlighting the value that people and businesses can extract from the platform. And then Sean will be doing one-to-one pitches. So more from a B2B or business angle, you can see the value that Profila brings to the industry. And then finishing up the week on Thursday and Friday. On Thursday, we'll be doing a spaces on DIDs, so decentralized identities. We're doing that with DidX. We've spoken to them before. That's an exciting one as we move forward. And then on Friday, we're doing a morning space at 11 a.m. UTC, 12 p.m. CET about real-world assets. And we've got Yoram on that, which is going to be fantastic. And then we've also got Dan Friedman from Palm Economy or ZenGet. We're really looking forward to that one. And then, of course, Friday's also Valentine's Day. So whilst there probably will be no romance in the real world asset space, we will be hosting Last Chance Valentine's Day stream from 5 p.m. CET onwards. So if that doesn't sound great, I don't know what did. You'll find all of the links and things to this in our big Spaces mega thread, which is on our timeline. It should appear pretty frequently as I add the spaces and dates to that, and our partner should also retweet. So, and if you can't find it there, just hop into the Discords or Telegram, and you'll see all the stuff posted there as well. It will be a bit easier to find. And that's it, Sean. That's Azure. Did you get your coffee?
I got my coffee and I glugged down some Avian water, and I'm good to go for the next stretch.
Right, perfect. Well, that's it for the week. I'm looking forward to speaking to all of you during some of the spaces.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep going here as well. Luke, can I take your other Mac Mini out, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just to declutter our space. Michiel was on muted out for a long time. Are you back, Michiel?
Yep. I was kicked again. Not my internet day.
No worries. Okay, so we're into the third hour in a couple of minutes, and we're tracking decently. It's a challenge when there's overlapping live sales, but we know the community will get us to where we need to go because we're building this for you. All right, what I'll do now is show you, as committed earlier, a bit of the back end of the platform. So this is what brands will have a look at. And I'd like you to take one thing away, which is the simplicity of the platform. It's easy to write a 50-page document if you're just splurging out, but it's very hard to write a 1 or 2 page memo. Okay, and that's why Jeff Bezos at Amazon made people never do presentations, but always write things down because it's harder. Okay, and something that Luke is obsessed on over years is a clean, simple design. On the front end that you saw, that allows the content and the message to shine through. Everything else should be 1, 2, 3 clicks. And I remember Luke and I even timing clicks to say, how can we reduce this interaction? Reduce. So Luke, while I'm getting the back end up, just 1 or 2 thoughts on your mindset when you were designing the front end.
Well, a lot of it was our own philosophy, and a lot of it was a response to what we see on social media. And I think about how clean Facebook was at the beginning, and watch it get more and more cluttered. And also hiding features. It added so many features that would allow some sort of control about your feed, things like that, but it's so deep down into the interface that nobody actually uses them. I'd love to see their stats for different features they launch and how people actually use it. Our philosophy is that, the brand content should shine through. We have a very pleasant, peaceful color palette that we have, including the logo color. We wanted to really minimize the clutter in the interface, make things simple, make things straightforward. We always see as Profila as a quiet place for you. When you log into Profila, you are the center of the universe and in full control. And that philosophy influenced our design philosophy. It wasn't the other way around. So we have an incredibly talented designer, Lisa. And we constantly thought about, again, how many clicks, how to make things clear without over-explaining, and how to just keep the main interface as uncluttered as possible, both to accommodate things we want to do in the future, but as we add more features, we want to ensure that we don't add more and more to the mental fatigue that people have when they use these platforms now, which, first of all, the content has to scream at you to get your attention on Facebook or Instagram or wherever. As I said before, in your feed, you're in control of it. It's the brands you love. It's the cadence that you desire with those brands. And the design should reinforce that sense of calm and control that individuals have.
Thank you, Luke. And with that, okay, as you log into a brand, and just on the sign-up process for a brand, it's as quick and simple as it is for signing up as a user. We just ask a few more questions, but you can sign up to Profila as an individual brand. Okay, so I, Sean Jensen, have a brand that I use, which is Sean Jensen, to market myself to companies. Okay, in the past. So a brand can be a single owner company, it can be a single consultant, or it can be a SME, or it can be a large company. Because when we speak about brands on Profila, it is encompassing the brand or the business or the entity, the nonprofit, the government organization that you want a relationship with. So in the past, we've even done presentations with Michiel to some of the local councils in Belgium for how their brand can be best represented, as a local council on Profila. So there's one thing that I didn't mention previously, because everyone, when they see ads, they think, oh, it's just ads and it's just brands. But Profila is really, really focused on a digital relationship between people and companies or organizations or individuals that they need and want in their lives. So an individual might be your lawyer who acts as a single individual. Okay, Michiel's a lawyer, so he's got single customers. So I've got a piece of data that I need to share with my lawyer. My lawyer can get access to that data through Profila. Okay, it doesn't have to be an ad transaction in the process. So the first phase of Profila is it's a data set that you own and control that you're willing to share with another party in exchange for value. That value might be the advice that the lawyer gives you offline on a call, but they've accessed the data and you've got consent for them to access the actual data. And likewise, I spent more than a year traveling back and forth to the US in understanding the healthcare sector. And a great friend back then is Dr. Deborah Peel from the Patients' Privacy Rights Organization in the US, where we sat and we looked at the health industry in the USA, which has a lot of challenges. And there's massive legacy systems there too that own and control access to all patient data. But the most interesting thing that stood out to me, which is the core of the problem, is that people lie to their doctors because they don't want the data to leak to the insurance companies in case their premiums go up. And that is widespread and common knowledge, okay? Because if I'm telling one doctor I've got an ailment, but I'm hiding the fact that, hey, I've got 2 or 3 or 4 other things that I might have done that could influence that, people are so scared of telling the truth to their doctors that they lie, and then the problem comes up later and they suffer purely because of the threat of their data being sold off. Okay, and that stood out for me for years too. So we've spoken to companies in Switzerland about clinical trials, how to share data en masse. Luke's also got some experience in that industry where, you know, the pharma companies doing good trials can't even access the people anymore, let alone the data, and get consent to use it in a different way. So that can be done on Profila in the future. So please keep that in your mind, that this isn't only about advertising. If a doctor sends you a script to go and get medication on Profila, that will be possible in the future. And your feed that Luke showed you is currently content that you used to see, but there will be tabs in the future at the top where you can say medical data, or my ads for my travel and tourism, or private, very sensitive data. And all of that you'll be happy to see in this place because it is fully protected. Okay, but we're only implementing those more highly personal data or personally identifiable data and private data after we've finished our migration to the different distributed infrastructure, and also the Web3 contracts are in place, so that there's zero risk for Profila themselves or any accident to happen that controls your data. Okay, so very quickly at the end of your sign-up process as a brand, and this brand is a company that's trialing with us in South Africa called Rosso Sport Auto. We give basic analytics. Okay, they did a very small trial as to a few people to connect to their brand. So connections in Profila is how many people connect to your brand after they've been invited to the platform. In that status of connection, they are anonymous. Okay, the brand does not know who they are, but they've got basic demographics, as Luke showed you. So they might have your country of residence, they might have your sex, and they might have age. Okay, so those are at least helping the brand to segment and to decide, okay, what type of content do I send you from demographics, but fully anonymous. And then the second status is subscriptions, which I can show how we create one. There's been 2 sent in the past in the trial, and there's none currently live. But a subscription is where a brand actually leases your data because they need more information about you, because you fit into their persona model. And this is something which is quite important for people to understand, is that not every brand wants you as a customer. No brand will tell you that to your face because you might change your mind. But every brand has a target persona type. That's why on Profila, and it's very unique, if you come onto Profila and you connect to the brand, nobody gets charged. Okay, so at least you're showing your intent to that brand that you want a relationship with them. And for the brand, that is also a cost saving, because they've got people that are connected and they can see, well, okay, these people obviously know my brand and they want a relationship with me. Now, how do I then target them with content? We've purposely left this field pretty open and white here, but in future we'll have different actions that you can take with individuals. So this will replace your CRM. Okay, there's a list of people showing their nicknames, and there's different data that's been shared. So I shared my data, my demographics, but they'll never know that it's me, okay, in Switzerland. But someone at the bottom here decided to share 0 data. Okay, so at least the brand knows that, hey, these are people that are interested in me. In the future, and what happens now on the front end, is you can archive your relationship with the brand, and then this will just be grayed out. Okay, so even though the person has said, I don't want to be a connection with this company anymore, we'll still keep metadata here so that you can have a track record always of somebody did connect to my brand and this was their profile. Because in future, if that person allows, you can do outreach to retarget them. So this is all a CRM is. Okay, it's a list of my customers that I want to be able to engage with. The power comes in, though, as to how do I segment them in the future. So under people, we've got connections, and then we've got subscriptions. Okay, and I'll create a subscription for you live, and then we'll see how that goes as a process. The next thing we have is lists, and this is basic targeting. Okay, but the difference that we have in Profila is you can target individuals anonymously, so you're not sitting as a company on the data set. And that is the difference that people need to understand, is the data is facilitated facilitated, not owned, by Profila and controlled fully by your customer. Okay, then you can target based on that data. And this is where brands get involved with a marketing campaign. They say, I'm looking for females age 30 to 40 to target them for a campaign for a certain product because that's my fit. Okay, and that's where people will be able to create a list and target. But something unique, and I can just do car lovers, and I'll go to my connection base initially. You can obviously filter on those basic demographics, okay, age, gender, and country. But importantly, too, on Profila, you can also filter on categories. Now, categories are the surveys that Luke showed you in the front end. And these aren't any survey. Okay, these are surveys that are specially designed by Profila and our team. We've had researchers working with us on how to ask better questions of yourself. So it is like a self-assessment survey. And now brands can select these surveys and they can fine-tune their targeting right down to a single answer that somebody has given on a survey. Okay, this is much, much more accurate than trying to observe mass people at scale, okay, and trying to guess. And yes, the guessing is getting better, but it's not explicit either. Okay, it's observed and it's a guess. But on Profila, this is an exact match to people who have said, yes, I want this. So let's go to automotive category. And we can select the surveys that we have on our platform currently as car ownership preferences and environmental awareness, automotive preferences. There, over time, we will be adding more and more and more based on the questions the industry sends us. Okay, we do have a section where a brand can put a brand-specific survey. So let's say I've just bought my Porsche or my Merc and I want to have an after-sales discussion. That is also possible on Profila. But over here, you can say what your relationship is, and here are the questions. Okay, they can be shorter or longer. But what car, do you currently own a car? For what purpose do you use a car? What type of car? How often do you use it? So these are pretty generic questions. And then Luke and his team will be profiling over time different surveys to say, well, if I like Formula One, what type of sports car do I like? All of those preferences will come out. Okay, and how often do I use? Is fuel efficiency important? Let's see, what type of car? And then the answers come up. Okay, so there's a list of all of the answer options. Now, on the front end, we've shown this as either graphical, multiple choice, and different survey interactions. But here, the brand will be able to very clearly know that, okay, this person is only interested in an SUV and a sedan. Okay, and that is, let's say it's in country, their customers, let's say I'm in Switzerland. And you can profile even further if you want to per different countries, and you create that list. Okay, so over here you can see that targeting is in the past done on static older data, sometimes first-party data that the brand collected just from your experience with them. The rest is done through data that they've acquired from data brokers and from surveillance industry. Okay, so first-party data, for some who may not know the term, but that's when a company gathers data directly from their website or from a transaction you did with them. So let's say I went to a hotel and I registered there and you fill out those forms afterwards. That's first-party data that I'm declaring to that company. That's very valuable to the industry. But all the context around it as to where did I go before, where did I go after, which restaurants did I go to, you know, did I want to go do a horse ride or a bicycle ride? None of that context does that single hotel have. Okay, and that's what Profila can offer, because if I've filled out all of my preferences, the hotel can access data to say, you know, we're a special hotel that's got action events and we do like thriller skydiving. You know, that's the type of profiling that makes this a lot more effective for companies. Okay, so that's connections, subscriptions, and lists. Then interactions is brand moments and subscription offers. So I'll go to the subscription offers first, and these are 2 expired ones. But what it is, this is that process of creating a subscription to access deeper level data from individuals. Okay, and you can, as I showed you on the targeting, you can do that as many times as you want for different segments of customers that you're targeting. And that all ends up in a good piece of content being shown to your customers. And the use case for this car automotive company was we've got 400 or 500 high-end, high net worth individuals who don't ever want to miss out on a deal. Okay, so how do you target them to say, well, what are my preferences? How much am I willing to spend? You know, and what type of car does it need to be? And then once they receive the alert, instead of all of this content purely in open email, they can come to the platform, they can share the relevant data, which is private, and then the company can match with the perfect offers. And then those individuals will never miss out. So what you're seeing here is the ads and ad campaigns. Okay, they're very simple, but the process of creating one ad and then having multiple ads actually kick off after that is already in the platform. We're deciding how deep we go, or if we allow bigger brands to integrate their activation platforms will be a process that we'll go through in the future. But for 90% of companies, what we've got is enough to be able to engage a customer, to run a campaign, and to get an engagement. And in the main engagement you want is a click-through. Okay, and that's all we charge for. So the impressions is just if somebody has seen it, and the click-through is if somebody's clicked the button. And that is what advertising all is about, so that you can convert and get onto a page, okay, and then actually make a transaction or a deal. So this is where a brand manager or a marketing manager would come in and actually create the advertising that they see. In the company information section, that's the basics about the company. And over here is interesting too. We've got digital ID for the individual, but also for the brand, because every brand on Profila will have an ID, and we as Profila will have a team, and we're doing that now. We'll vet every company so that we'll see some of their registration documents, either we'll phone them, we'll test their emails, and this we'll do at scale, because we want customers to know that every brand on the platform is a real brand, okay? And we're taking away a lot of risk of scam and fraud. And then we'll be able to, in future, match the digital ID that the user has created and shared data with the brand. And that's another way of us preserving privacy. We've actually got a cool strategy. We'll talk more about this in our digital ID space on Thursday, where for every data relationship, we'll spawn off another digital ID. Okay, so it might be millions of them on the platform eventually that represent different relationships with different brands at that moment in time, obfuscating the need for linking back to actual data sets even further. Okay, so we've got a good understanding of where we want to go with the digital identity. Payment information will be a simple interface where you'll see how many ads have you delivered and people have clicked on, and what are your charges, and also how many data subscriptions you have and what are your charges. That interface will look similar to the front, but it's busy being taken away from Stripe. We used to be fully integrated with Stripe, and we're doing something simpler for brands to pay in cash, but going through a stable coin. So we're hoping Cardano stable coin comes soon, so that we can use that as an easier method for brands to pay using fiat currency, because the other platforms are higher transaction fee, which doesn't make sense for companies. Okay, and that's as simple as a backend needs to be. But let me create a subscription offer first. So this is where we're asking people for their data. And Mitchell, while I'm doing this, if you can connect to Rosso Sport Auto as a brand, you might be already, and just see if you're in connection status for me. That would be cool.
Sure.
Car lovers. Okay. And then the lists that I created, if you remember, there is only one. So Mitchell's in Spain though, so he might not come up. We need to get more volume on here. And then over here, as you can see, you can choose data. The buckets of data here will align with the buckets of data for the user or the individual that I described earlier. So there'll be buckets of health data in the future. There'll be buckets of music preferences in the future. But for now, it's the simplest demographic targeting to say, well, I need the country, I don't need age, I need gender or languages. And if the user and the brand have got a digital ID, it's not compulsory, because if I'm selling literal cookies, I might not need a digital ID, but we will offer that to bigger companies. Then you can say, okay, I want the actual email address, which is a more sensitive piece of data. In the future, there'll be a list of a copy of my ID or a copy of my certificate from a university that have been verified on the platform itself. And then categories aligns to the surveys. So in future, we've just got a base rate here, but in future, a brand will be able to offer how much they're willing to pay for this data. But I can say I want obviously your automotive preferences. I want to know maybe your sports habits, and if you're like a traveler. Okay, that's interesting information for a automotive company. And how long do I want your data for? So let's say 1 year, 6 months, 3 months. In future, we'll also give shorter periods of time here, so that you can use the data only for a short 1 week or 2 week campaign, if that's your case. And then the offer itself is, well, it's going to go out today, and the limitation is everyone has to accept this offer by Friday. And this is up to the brand, because I might need to get the data in so that I can then run my campaign after I've done my targeting. Okay, this button helps you to say if a new member can join the list or not. So I've got a static list there at the moment of small amounts. So anyone who joins and is in this profile will be able to get onto that list. And I'll put in a max budget. We'll fix the currency there soon. And you have to put a privacy policy in. If you don't have one, you can just put your company website. But this is also something that our team in our AI privacy project will be helping with. If people don't have a privacy policy, we'll be giving them a template of how to fill out a basic privacy policy. That's something that Michiel's worked on, so that people always know that their data is looked after by the company accessing their data. Okay, and then a purpose is, why do you want this data? And as I mentioned earlier, it might be for a totally different thing. And in this case, this company also does servicing on cars, okay, on the customer's car. So it might be, well, I need the data from you because I need some decisions to make on how I service your car, okay, or where it needs to be dropped off if you're moving location or storage. So it's not all about advertising. Okay, it is about sharing content and getting access to the right pieces of data to take an action. Okay. Okay, now publish, and that is now an active data subscription. Okay, that was, let's see, I'll go on the front end now, but Mitchell, you're not in Switzerland. This list was in Switzerland, so I need to check if any of our test users are on that side. And that's a data subscription, and I'll take this canceled ad and I'll edit it and rerun through it. Okay, so if you edit it, you can go back through and I'll change to car lovers. And let's see, an offer, hot sale, the ad is already there. I can change this. This is a rich text environment. You will be able to put links in here, other documents, and embed things in here, depending on how creative you want to be. And then you've got your call to action buttons and an external link that you want people to go to. And we can change the date from today to Saturday. Okay, the interesting part here too is that's an ad, and it can be a part of a campaign. So if I click this button, then obviously the date range goes away, because now it needs to link to an older advert. And a campaign is just a sequence of events to say, well, if somebody looked at the history of our company and they liked it or they engaged with it, so either they looked at it, an impression, they clicked on it, or they gave sentiment for it, or they bookmarked it, then that will trigger this ad going forward. So you can do multiple threads of campaigns here depending on the engagement of the front-end individual who looked at the ad itself, okay? And then you can have certain trigger days. So after that first ad is published and after the person takes this interaction, how quickly do you want this next ad or piece of content to be seen by the individual? And then again, how long it is active for, okay? So over here, we've got Metronome, which is busy being finalized, but this is the feature where on the front end, Luke showed you, you can tell a brand how much content you want to see or even when you want to see it. And then that will pop up here and show the brand that, hey, okay, your list used to be 50 people, but now it's only 30 because of their metronome settings. Okay, so this is giving true control to the individual, but also the brand is not wasting their money. Metronome will help prevent ad wastage, okay, because people will only see the ad if they've opted in to see it. And if they've reached the limit of how many ads they want, we'll give them an option to say, well, there's an offer coming in, then they might want to receive only offers, okay? In the budget, we're keeping pricing very simple here, nothing for impressions. Click-through rates will be linked to the industry that the brand is in. This will update on a per industry, per brand basis. So you won't pay more than you are in the current social platforms. Over time, though, that price will increase. Okay, so yes, ads will get more expensive as your conversion increases. So remember, currently your conversion is 0.66%. As we get it to 20, to 30, to 40, to 50, to 100, then the price will go up because Mitchell is giving you 100% attention. Okay, and that's okay because your conversion rates will be much higher. But we'll work with the industry on what is acceptable for that. Okay, let's just go back here. I need to I'm going to take this away just for now and make it specific dates. I've got that date range there. Lifelong means that's an ad that will never expire. So it's more like a welcome piece of content. And then I can edit. Okay. All right. And then we'll see. Let me flick through the individual and let's see if that content's come through. I don't know if I'm profiled properly for that brand. There's the Rosso Sport. And let's go here and look at my relationship status. Okay, so I am a connection. The offer is closed. Okay, let me here disconnect. That's a nice thing too, as I mentioned earlier. If you disconnect from a brand, it goes into the archived section. But then you can at any stage go back and connect. And the reason we're doing that is that people have got a full audit trail of their relationship with every brand that they've ever engaged with. So this, I will share information. Now I'm back as a connection. And then we'll see if that ad comes through eventually. It should do. Okay, and on the front end, as Luke showed you, there's a way to bookmark content. And there we've got the exclusive car auction ad. Okay, so it is coming through. It'll take a bit of time. Oh, there's the new welcome to ZEKE content. Okay, very good. Let me go back. Over here, you can see I've got multiple profiles. So you can run or be engaged with multiple companies on Profila. So over here, I'm helping these companies do some trials, and I can switch between my different accounts on each. And this, for you as an individual, is you experiencing brands, but you could also have your single person company set up here. And something which I've mentioned to a lot of people, and this is the back end of Profila just for our trials, is that this will be the simplest way for any SME to start their business in the future. The lowest cost and the fastest and most simple way. Okay, because you'll be able to set it up. And Mitchell, you can do it in like 10 minutes now, I think. Not even. In setting up a brand, setting up a company, and then inviting people that you're doing business with to communicate with you on Profila. So that's a quick overview of what the brand experience looks like. And yeah, it is simple. But through here, all of the data spend and the ad spend can be managed. And remember, all of that between 50 to 80, and then in the future up to the 90% will be used to buy ZEKE and then to compensate individuals with ZEKE for their data and attention. Okay, and I think, Michiel, we got you back. We can talk about some privacy aspects.
I don't know if you want to show the personal data section or the privacy section of the app.
Yeah, we can do that on the front end, yeah. Let me get back there.
We'll talk a little bit about CERN and how this privacy part started.
Yep. Okay. There we go. Okay, Michiel, you can see?
Yeah. Can you see me actually? And
yes, we can see you.
My camera's on. So yeah, privacy. For those who don't know it yet, I'm a technology and data privacy lawyer. I had the pleasure of working on privacy already for 12 years, pre-GDPR. We often said in our law firm that we were doing GDPR before it became, we were doing privacy before it became sexy with the GDPR in 2018. So what did I see from a law firm's perspective is that privacy and GDPR was more of a compliance exercise for a company. So I think the regulator tried to fix some problems that were there online in terms of surveying customers and sharing large amount of personal data and selling large amounts of personal data. And they attempted to give people a little bit of control over it, but brands didn't really see it as a way to communicate better with their consumers or a way to be more transparent with their consumers. They saw it more as like the stick. Like, oh no, is the way I do marketing today compliant with that new regulation there? Because there's a 2 to 4% fine of my global turnover. And for a large multinational, 2 to 4% fine of your global turnover was very scary, especially because they also didn't know, is the regulator going to enforce that very strongly or not? So law firms, telephones, red hot. Every company wanted to do a privacy program, GDPR, gap analysis, make sure that the data that they had was compliant and the way they communicated was compliant. And then after doing that compliance exercise, I think it dialed down a little bit. Companies figured out that data privacy authorities in Europe were understaffed, that they might go after a Facebook or a Google for some kind of practices if they don't respect data subject rights, and that maybe Google or Facebook will get a $20 million fine left or right. But that the chance of being controlled is very small. And so in that way, and there's a lot of seminars that I go to and discussions that I have with experts where we think, did GDPR maybe miss its target? So what it did is it kickstarted privacy regulations around the world. So you have the ones in the United States and Brazil and in South Africa. Everywhere you have GDPR-like regulations. It made people a bit aware of privacy, but it didn't solve the problem yet. And I think a large part of the problem is that there's, for the moment, not yet an incentive for brands to do it better. So the stick is definitely not a heavy stick, and the incentive is not really there yet. So that's one part of the problem for a solution on the internet. And the other part of the problem is there's not really a tool for people to manage their personal information. I think that's where we come in. So initially we were a lot focused on privacy. So these data subject rights in the GDPR, meaning rights for you as an individual to ask access to your data, to ask a brand to delete your data, to stop processing your data, all the GDPR rights that you can see here on the slide. We wanted to give them to consumers in a Amazon one-click kind of way. And so that's still part of the platform. We think that empowering you to take ownership of your data, these GDPR rights can really help you with that. So instead of going to a privacy policy of a brand, looking for a privacy email there and not knowing what to do, here you can just select the name of a brand, click on a specific right. For example, you say to Nike or whatever, stop using my data if you feel like they're sending you too many marketing emails, or stop processing my data for marketing purposes. You just then click on next, and Profila takes care of the entire process in the backend. So here's a little bit of information about the process. So you have 30 days. They have normally 30 days to respond. They could ask for your ID card to verify you. And then we send it off. So we have an entire email template, very legalese, where we will then inform a brand of the GDPR right that you exercised and how they need to respond to you. So this is one part in the app that can empower you a little bit. It's then linked to the Cardano blockchain. So we have a ledger of every interaction. And what we call an unsubscribe on steroids. Instead of having an unsubscribe button that you click where you don't have a ledger of what's happening, in this case, you can always go back to the privacy center of the Profila app and see every right that you exercised with every brand. So let's say Nike is sending you too much content. You just bought shoes there. You're not going to buy shoes for an entire year. And Nike is sending you 5 emails per week. You could use the tools and tricks in this privacy center to tell Nike to stop. And then if Nike wouldn't listen and they would breach your request, let's say it like that, they would then start sending you again. You would have an immutable ledger on the Cardano blockchain that proves that, let's say on the 10th of February today, you told them to stop sending you direct marketing messages. So it's this ledger element on the blockchain that is very useful. And now for people who don't know what a data subject right is and how to exercise their privacy rights, we made these 1 to 2 minute explainer videos, a bit of an education section, for which will also incentivize you in ZEKE tokens, where you can learn about these rights before you exercise them. So we still believe that privacy is an important part of the app, and this is a very, like, let's say, active and intensive a part of it, but we also bake it into the features so that you don't see it. Let's say you get a data subscription for a couple of months, maybe at the end of the data subscription, instead of you actively having to exercise your right to delete the data on the brand side, it would do it automatically. So we're trying to make it more user-friendly over time. It's still one of the fundamental parts of the app, even though today it's way more about the data that you share and the content you get back than only about the privacy rights. Back to you.
Thank you, Michiel. Okay, so we've navigated the front end of the platform, we've navigated the back end, we've done a pitch. Now I think it's back to, oh, Michiel's gone again. I think when he say goodbye, say goodbye. And Luke, it's back to you. Any more comments about the NFL for those who have joined late? Who won? Why did they win? Why are you disappointed? You're on mute.
Philadelphia Eagles won 40-22, I think it was. There were some very interesting gambling angles. One of the things about the Super Bowl is what are called, and you can nod your head if you know this already to non-Americans, prop bets. You can bet on everything in the Super Bowl. You can bet, they'll give you over under how long the national anthem will be sung. How many times will they show Taylor Swift on camera? Will this player have this many rushing yards? Whatever it is, there's an incredible amount of prop bets. And obviously you can combine them together to get better odds. And the Chiefs scored right at the end to actually take the total points for the over, which usually more people bet the over, meaning how many points are going to be scored by both teams total. So betting houses always lose if it goes the over. So there's a lot of interesting gambling things, and even the last quarter, I guess the Chiefs came back a little bit, even though it was never in doubt. So they hit a lot of their prop bets as well. So I think Vegas had a very, very bad day because I think more people bet on the Chiefs, more people bet the over. So it was actually a bad day for Vegas, which is always a good day for most of the country. And now you see all the articles about, the Chiefs are dog shit. They're never going to come again. They're dead as a franchise, and the Eagles will win forever and ever. It's the usual day after the Super Bowl hyperbole. As I mentioned early in the call, I woke up very early to watch the game. Time shifted and kind of got a sense of the game pretty soon and kind of flipped through because I don't particularly like the Eagles. So I got through the whole game in less than an hour. Saw a few of the ads. There's some fun ads with Ben Affleck. Missed halftime. Skipped through that as well. It's been years since I watched a halftime show. But yeah.
Awesome.
And now the sadness. Now the 7 months of sadness until the first week of September when the NFL comes back. So it's always a dark time. Thankfully, we have the Six Nations is going on. I was watching a match 2 over the weekend. Ireland is doing well again. And that usually fills my gap between now and the spring when other sports come. And also the NBA has been likable. And another side note. Normally, Christmas Day is the NBA's. They have 5 games on Christmas Day, but this year Christmas Day was a Sunday, so the NFL scheduled games. And if you look into this at all, the NFL destroys every other sport in terms of ratings and exposure and such. And so I think the NBA had their trade deadline last week, which was very, very active. And so I think they wanted to kind of steal some of the thunder from Super Bowl week. Back from the NFL because they were upset that the NFL had stolen Christmas from them. So it's that's what happens when you have a dozen spectator sports in the U.S. that have big crowds and big TV deals that
Same
they
time
have
of
to
the
compete
year.
with each other.
Well, for me, I've got Formula One starting in March, and that's important. That keeps me going the most of the year. So I've had my drought period, and then there's rugby on for sure.
Do you watch I know it's not your country, but do you watch Six Nations at all?
Yeah, for sure. They're trying to see how they're improving so they can challenge South Africa, because back-to-back world champions, we need a better challenge next time.
And the next one is 27 in Australia, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Interesting times. Okay, back to business. So just wanted to show people where we are. So if you get hold of us anytime today on X, it's where we hang out. And this was a cool memory from 2021. It was actually Michiel over here, his first visit to Africa. I took him around Cape Town, and that's where Charles was with his team in Cape Town, and we managed to meet and have a nice presentation around Profila. And a lot has changed since then. We took some guidance, but we went all in to Cardano at that stage. From 2017-18, we were already involved in the Cardano community. But we, after meeting Charles and Tamara and the team, it really gave us the inspiration to go deeper. And from there, we started investigating our technology strategies and got the Catalyst funding and have been building ever since. So I think just as a reminder for people, we're here today as a launch party in the morning for the ZEKE token sale. You can find information on X, and you can invest on MinSwap and on LCX. At the moment, there's an overlapping sale, but we'll be doing another launch party this evening, and we'll be able to get more of your attention during the week. So the sale is available until Friday night, and we believe you guys will see the inspiration behind the team, behind the project, and behind what Profila can do for people at large, for solving the privacy challenge, for giving you better quality content, for respecting your attention. And during the week, we'll also show you how the token will actually boost post-sale. Okay, so there's a lot of tokens that jump onto the market as memes, but I think there's been a lot of discussion around utility versus memes, and Mitchell held some good spaces. Memes are easier to take a gamble on and to just troll, but they lack a little bit of substance as far as, well, am I going to use it in my life? I think they both have a place in the ecosystem, but utility is longer term. And we've been a research R&D project, I think, for the first 5 years. Last 2 years, been building, and we're not going away. So if you want a longer term, safer investment, the ZEKE token will represent your data and attention in the future. And as brands join the platform, and you've seen our go-to-market, and during the rest of the week, I'll show you a little bit more about the large brands that we've spoken to who are dying to do something different. Okay, they're all stuck on these current platforms. They don't know where to go. Okay, and they always think like, my only path is through this surveillance mechanism that exists because everybody's out there and I have to get their attention. But we've spoken to quite a few that are becoming more responsible, and as a lot of people have seen, the challenges on X, and we love it for the good reasons that it's there, but it's put a lot of brands off as to like, well, where do I go if I want to, speak just to my community? And that's going to be Profila. So we have large ambitions for the company, and we've got the platform to a stage where it's stable and robust. And the ZEKE token represents you and your data and your attention. There's some other cool things on last year. We had quite a few cool spaces, but we're talking to companies like Unbox in the Cardano community. And we've got plans to make ZEKE also a loyalty token. That was in our plans from day one, but we're keeping the token use case simple for now. And just to remind you, it's a utility and payment token. We've got legal opinions in Liechtenstein and Switzerland from reputable companies. The utility is for rewarding people for building a profiler of themselves, for managing data responsibly, for sharing it with brands, and for using your attention wisely. I think it's the only platform in the world, and will be, that will actually use a pop-up to say, hey, you're not looking at the content. Do you want to see it anymore? Save your time, save your money, and also be responsible. So ZEKE will represent that, okay? And it will also be used as payment as far as I'm getting cash in from brands. So similar to the BAT principle, we'll be paying out on a monthly basis how much you've leased your data to for brands. They'll pay in fiat currencies, and that will create a buy pressure every month cyclically as companies are running ad campaigns and as they're leasing data. We'll be converting 50 to 80, and then in the future more than that, into ZEKE token and paying individuals out in the ZEKE token. And the loyalty aspect will come in where we'll be asking you to hold. Okay, so if you're holding your token and brands see that your reputation improves over time because you've got a good profile, you engage with content responsibly, then you become the perfect customer on Profila. We're opening too that brands can use offers and discounts and different features and perks from their own company to trade with you for access to your data. In that case, there'll be transaction fees that are charged by a Profila to keep the mechanism working, but there'll be other incentives that brands will be able to offer you to exchange for data. So it's not only going to be a cash flow, it will also be a bartering type process where in exchange for your data, a brand can give you something else, okay, depending on what they have to offer. So I think there's significant ways for the ZEKE token to flourish over time. I know a lot of people who from 2017 saw a boom in data-related projects that don't exist anymore. We're very different. We've done research on 20 or 30 of these who were trying to aggregate data, who were doing just surveys, and their intentions were amazing and really, really good. But if you only focus on just the data and there's nothing else for the consumer or the user of the platform to do, that's where it falls down. And it was actually research we did with University of St. Gallen students, MBA students, a couple of years back that gave us this magic mix, is that, yes, my data is important and I know it's worth something. But statistically, it's worth, depending which country, is a couple of McDonald's burgers. So making the actual cash out of your data is not an incentive. That's why a lot of other companies failed, okay? Because all they wanted to do was get you to convert to cash or coupons for a couple of dollars. That doesn't scale, and it's not a viable long-term business model. And people lose interest because it's not enough cash to influence your life. Okay, whereas on Profila, the second thing that the students said to us is, my privacy is important, but make it easier for me to decide how I manage that data access. The third was the most important, is give me value. Okay, give me stuff. And that's where Profila is this new mashup of like an Instagram and a Salesforce, even though both of those will disappear in the future, replaced by Profila, is that you can now share data and brands can give you value back. Okay, there has to be that exchange, and if you're in control this time, then the value will be genuine, okay, and the conversion will increase. And ZEKE is as Luke likes to say, it's at the center of every single transaction and interaction. That's why we've kept a large portion of the token for ecosystem development and ecosystem rewards. Because once that mechanism starts kicking off the two flywheels, then we have a token that's going to grow in intrinsic and extrinsic value to individuals and to brands. So yeah, buy your ZEKE, hold it, and you will see the price performance starting to improve during the rest of the year as we onboard our brands. And for those who missed the pitch on Profila, I'll be doing it several times this week. But the pitch shows you the amount of revenue that we'll pull through and the amount of transactions that will lead to that revenue. A lot of projects on Cardano suffer from transaction volume, okay, because they don't have adoption. We focused from day one on what does our adoption cycle look like. Secondly to that, we focused on our Web3 capabilities. And on top of all of that is how does the ZEKE token benefit from all of this pull through of revenues and from the brands. So I think, Luke, any parting words, because we're coming up to the third hour, and then we'll be coming back onto a live X space tonight. Mitchell, sorry, what time does it start tonight? 6 o'clock?
For you or for them? I mean, I guess it's the same time.
Depends
but
who's watching around the world.
It's 5 p.m. CET for us. So if UTC for the 4 p.m. for the watchers, usually that's what they use.
Okay, cool. So it's 5 p.m. CET. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think you can see the passion and dedication of this team. We'll be on media the rest of the week. Support us, help us build the future of the most private and the most scalable data sharing and ad infrastructure and content infrastructure that the world is going to see. Luke, some thoughts from you?
Sure. So this week I'll be doing live streams, I think every day at 3:30, going through a series of articles I wrote about the Profila way, really exposing our philosophy, our mission, and how we approach it. And it's a good indication of how we want to see both the industry we're trying to influence and also the product and services that we want to provide. So the first two were last week, but today I'll be dealing with chapter 3, and I'll be going through, I think, Thursday, every day at 3:30. So those will be able to watch those on Twitter and live streams. And I'll have a few one-on-one demos with some of our friends and colleagues in other projects to talk about Profila and how they'll use Profila, how they see Profila improving and adding to their life. So I'm excited about all these different ways to communicate all the awesomeness of Profila and, of course, the ZEKE token.
Fantastic. And Mitchell, if you can just run through where people find out more information about us and about everything we've spoken about today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So to stay up, to stay up to date generally here on X is perfect. But if you have more pressing questions that can't be answered through articles that we have on our Medium, or you just want to speak to a member in the team, you can reach us very easily through Telegram and Discord. The links to those platforms are through our link tree, which is in our X bio. And yeah, aside from that, all the action will be right here on X during the week. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you to the 233 people who are viewing. If all of you can now switch over to MinSwap and LCX and put your money where your mouth is, if you respect privacy, if you want privacy for your children, and that's one of the core reasons I started, is just that fear of what the future of the internet is going to look like for, your daughter. And if you want them to be influenced and controlled by mind manipulating AI-powered algorithms, then don't do anything. Okay, then be a slave to the machine. But if you want to fight the machine and you want to take your sovereignty back, we all in this crypto world talk about sovereignty. If you really want your sovereignty back, you have to start controlling how you share your data and how you control access to your data. Even these AI algorithms that are running around, these LLMs, they've all been siphoning your information. But Luke has the most powerful words that we always use is give it 1, 2, or 3 years of no access to your data. That machine will be very confused as to where is Sean, where is Luke, what happened. It will literally freak out because if people start slowing down this access to very relevant data, then those machines become insignificant, right? And then your power becomes stronger. And it's the same as trading. A scarcity drives price. Okay, and that's our model with Profila is don't throw it all over the internet. Don't log into these DeepSeek apps without even thinking about it. Think about what data am I going to share? And if I share it in the future, how powerful does that make me? And we've got to flip this model around that brands want that, okay? They want to know that Mitchell is now going to leave this call and he's going to go and buy something. What is he going to buy? probably a burger or something for lunch. But you're not vegan, eh? I forgot. No,
No.
you're not. Okay, I don't mind.
Don't say that on a public forum.
What
You hate
was the T-shirt that I have to wear, Luke?
former vegan.
Former vegan. Yeah.
There we go. But those preferences aside, I think our mission is powerful. Okay, and I'll summarize it just before we end. The vision statement for the company is human agency, privacy in exchange for value. Okay, and it has to be human agency first because you choose how much you want to share. Okay, privacy is also subjective. In some countries, people have more, people have less. And in some environments, people are happy to share everything with a company they trust. And with other companies, they don't want to share anything. And that's human agency first. So your choice, then privacy in exchange for value. And that is what we've built on Profila, represented through a very, very powerful ZEKE token. So we'll see the tail end during the week. And we look forward to every one of you participating. Don't be afraid to ask us questions because it comes through on the live stream and we can answer them live here. And yeah, thank you for your support and attention this morning. 200 odd people and spending time with us has been great. So I'm going to go off and have a lunch, and then I've got 2 or 3 more calls, and then we'll be on a live space this evening, okay, with a lot more people. So thank you all, and time out, and we'll speak to you soon.